2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, somewhat under the weather. I haven't been on nearly a week. I don't know if any of you folks miss me, but by the time you see this, state it in the comments right now as folks begin filtering in the show. But there's 6 weeks. That's all we have, folks, until Election Day. 6 weeks. We are that close. 6 weeks from today, we will likely have, most of us will likely have voted. In fact, it might be getting close to some of the polling places beginning to close. So 6 weeks from today is when the election begins. So what we're going to be talking about is obviously what the hell is going on in regards to the election. So I am going to ask you folks to bear with me. I have been under the weather, so the voice could go in and out and things like that. But I want to get here. I want to come on and talk to the folks because the nation of Israel, since we last talked, the nation of Israel has gotten into a really tight spat with Hezbollah up in Lebanon. A lot of bombings and rockets going back and forth. They've progressed out of Gaza and the West Bank. This is now spreading to Lebanon. And Hezbollah, unlike Hamas, Hezbollah has a bigger ally, being the nation of Iran. So we're going to first start out by talking about the fact that if America is on the cusp of getting involved in what could at least be a regional conflict, do you feel that Kamala Harris would be the best commander-in-chief? I just want to ask you folks, because you got a choice between her and Trump. Now, under Trump, we didn't really have any military conflicts of any significance, so there's no way to know how he would behave. But regardless of who wins in November, regardless of who becomes our next president, it's pretty clear they're going to be dealing with these events. The Ukraine-Russian war will not be over with by November, and neither will the wrath. I'm just going to say it this way because this is what I think it is. The wrath of Benjamin Netanyahu. Neither one of these events will be over with. So whoever becomes president is going to still be trying to negotiate a ceasefire between Israel, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and whoever else who may have joined it by then. And of course, dealing with Zelensky and Putin. Excuse me. So do you think Kamala Harris is up to the task? Or do you think maybe they would respect Trump more? Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying World War III, like some folks often would suggest, but it's not impossible. But looking at what we're dealing with, more likely a regional conflict. I don't know if the Ukraine-Russian conflict will expand beyond that, but the Israeli conflict could likely do so. Simply put, there's a hell of a lot of disdain for Israel, and it looks like Benjamin Netanyahu likes kicking ass. So he's fine playing the role of Chuck Norris and taking on everybody in the region. So what's going on in the Middle East could easily spread. Is Kamala Harris the right one to have in power? That's our first topic. As always, we always have 2 topics. If I can make it through this, just really lightheaded. I don't know if the flu or whatever the hell's going around, but it's been a rough few days for me. Went up to, went bike riding in Chicago, hung out with the Venezuelans on Lakeshore Drive, and I've been sick ever since. Okay, this is the second topic. As you see, the live stream is titled, Trump, the President for Women. Is former President Trump the best choice as Commander-in-Chief for females? Trump stated He wants to be, in reference to women, this is a quote, I want to be your protector. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. This is what he's suggesting that it will happen if he wins. If Trump wins, he's stating that women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. And in conclusion, he stated, you will no longer be thinking about abortion. So I want to hear from you folks. Do you think Trump is on to something? Maybe the direction for this country will be so great that if he wins, women won't even be thinking about the abortion changes and things like that. What would make him say that? I see in the comments, Nick says so he can grab on them. Oh my God. So he can grab them. Nick, hilarious. So what do you think though? Perhaps Trump is the president for women, stating that women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. Sounds pretty damn good to me. I want to be your protector. How many women tend to favor maybe a guy that's going to be a provider, but certainly a protector? Commander-in-Chief promising to be the protector of women and concluding by saying you will no longer be thinking about abortion. So what do you think? You think Trump's on to something? Those are our two topics. As always, feel free to tap the screen. Get the likes up to about 10 grand. We can make that happen. Smaller audience have been gone for a few days. Show the program some love. Certainly tap the screen. We'll move right into the comments and then into the box. And on the, he's losing the women's vote, so he needs to say some bullshit to sway them, says CG. Well, do you think it's working? Do you think it's working? I'm voting for the independent guy. Who the hell is that? Meatball Popsicle. Love the name. Who is the independent guy? Don't worry about Ukraine and Russia. Worry about tariffs. I don't know. You're talking about cost versus a war. I don't get where that's going. Megan, thank you for the crane. So we'll go, to save my voice a little bit, we'll go straight to the box and we'll take on Trig. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Trig. Trump, best president for women. What say you, Trig? Good afternoon or good evening.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
So we're going to start off with, is he the best president for women?
Yeah.
You know, that's the same guy that said, man, you know, I was the one that got rid of abortion. And I made sure that nobody, they tried to do it for 50 years and I did it for you.
Well, wait a minute, though. He didn't say he got rid of it. He said he simply returned it back to the states where it belonged. It is still legal in a variety of places, so he didn't get rid of it. He's saying that it was more favorable to put it back in the hands of the state. In fact, he said that's what most people wanted.
Tim, that's a flat-out lie. That's a flat-out lie. You know it. You can smile about it. You can giggle about it. That's a goddamn...
Well, that's what he's saying, though.
Look, it's women in Georgia right now that's losing their lives because people don't want to give these women health care for it, right? And it's a shame that we want to sit here as men, or not even as men and women, and act like we got the power to tell females what they need to do with their bodies.
Well,
I don't understand why they don't understand that, man, whatever they happen to do, it's about health care. What if you sit here and you trying to bring a baby to term, right? And then all of a sudden something goes wrong. Then what? Then you still try to bring this baby to term and then maybe the woman lose her whatever at that same... I need people to make sense of this stuff, right?
Yeah, but
make sense of this.
Okay, well, some folks are suggesting that women were using, pregnancy terminations as a method of birth control, and that what he is doing is making things more responsible and saving the lives of the unborn.
Okay, so let me just say this, right? Now, I'd have been around a lot of women in my lifetime, right? And I promise you, I don't know not one woman who just feels like, you know what, I'm not going to take the pill. I'm just going to, go with the abortion. And that's my method of making sure that, I don't have a baby. I don't know no woman that do that.
Wait. What about the notion that of a woman that maybe was eager to have a child until she found out the boyfriend is cheating on her and he's not going to be around, or the woman who wanted to become a model and all of a sudden she found out she was knocked up and she don't want the baby to get in the way of her career? You don't think any of that happens?
So, Tim, you know what? Circumstances happen every day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Circumstances happen every day. But my whole thing is this. I don't have no business telling her what to do with her body. I don't have no business doing that. I don't have no business telling her, you know what? It's your business. Whatever you plan to do, do it, right?
Okay.
If people want to sit around here and just still point the finger and tell people what they should do, when they should do it, how they should do it.
So wait. You're saying it ain't your business to tell her. So are you suggesting that you would be okay with allowing women to have pregnancy terminations anywhere along the line, 8th, 9th months?
So, Tim, let me just say this, right? So I believe that, if you want to sit here and have a abortion at the 8th, 9th, or as some of our friendly other folk on the other side of the aisle will say that this abortion came after the baby got here.
Yeah. Put the baby to the side and they deciding whether to get rid of it or not.
I mean, now how that's possible, I don't know. But I'll say this: as a guy with girls, right? I don't think that it would be in a woman's best interest to sit here and try to have a abortion.
But that didn't answer the question.
I'm answering it right now. I don't think it would be in her best interest to have it 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months down the road, right? Now, your question was, do I think that that's happening?
No. Let me rephrase it. Would you support a law that outlawed terminating a child 6, 7, 8 months alone?
Under certain circumstances, maybe. Under certain circumstances, like, okay, so what if she's carrying the baby and then all of a sudden, in order for her to bring the baby here, she could lose her life as opposed to trying to bring this baby to term.
Okay.
If that's the case, then I would say, I mean, it's either a life or a life. You know what I mean? And I picked a life that's already here than a life that ain't here yet. All right.
So save the life of the mother.
Say it again.
So you would support allowing it to save the life of the mother, but outside of saving the life of the mother, you would outlaw it.
I'm not a killer. Okay?
But don't push me. That's too far. Keep going.
I'm not a person that just feels like, when I wake up in the morning that this is what I want to do. And trust me, I'm a Democrat. All right? But at the same time, if this female, if she wake up and, all of a sudden she's, got blood running down her leg and things are going haywire and I don't know what to do, and I expect the doctors to give us some sound advice on what to do at that particular time. I expect them to give us some sound advice on what to do at that particular time.
Yeah.
Now, you want to sit here and just be like, oh well, look, I'm in month 7 and this ain't working out for me. Blah blah blah. No, I'm not with that. If you at that point and then you healthy and everything is going well, then guess what? We have adoption agencies. All
right, so then you would support some kind of you would support an abortion ban, at least in the later terms.
Late term. Late term. All right, we talking late. Look, when we talking 8-9 months. If we're talking that far, yes.
I gotta move it on. We're making progress. Can I interest you in the MAGA hat? Sound like I'm converting you?
Hecking no way in hell. Just because I believe in, making sure that, a life gets here, however it gets here, you know what I mean? That don't mean I'm MAGA nothing. But I will say this, that, man, we got to start thinking like normal people. Sometimes we just go out the box.
Well, saving the life of the unborn, many would say that is thinking like normal. But I got to move it on, Trig. Thank you for coming through.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. Good talk. All right, look at in the comments. By the way, folks, we are talking about the notion that we could have at least regional wars kicking off, particularly with Israel taking on half of being willing to take on whoever comes in the Middle East. Do you feel like Kamala Harris is up to the task? If America gets involved militarily on behalf of Israel, because they are an ally, and they don't seem even concerned about taking on additional enemies. Benjamin Netanyahu is not interested in a ceasefire. I don't know how many hostages still remain in the custody of Hamas since October 7th of last year, but it's pretty clear Benjamin Netanyahu is not really focused on their release. He's focused on kicking ass. So it's gotten to the point where the Biden administration, at least, does not have a lot of control over Israel under Benjamin Netanyahu. He's not really taking their advice. Biden stated it himself at a speech not long ago. Dencal, appreciate the underwater graphic. Thank you for your support, Dencal. Thank you. He stated that Netanyahu was not doing what was in the best interest of a ceasefire. And now with Hezbollah and the walkie-talkie and pager incident, Israel's taking it to another level. Is Kamala Harris the one to have in place to calm all this down? Now, remember, Trump stated he could end the Ukraine-Russia war in 24 hours. The Israeli-Hamas-Hezbollah endeavor is a whole different ballgame, but Trump has indicated he could end this stuff rather quickly. What do you think about Kamala Harris? You think she would be the one to have in place while this takes off? Looking in the comments real quick, rolling on the floor, laughing my fucking ass off. It took me a minute to remember all the acronyms. You are crazy. They are eating the dogs. They are eating the cat. By the way, and I love that, the songs that have come out of that. I'll tell you one thing, and thank you for that comment. I think that's Faye. I don't think we will ever forget the Trump years. I don't care if you are 15 or if you're in your 50s like me or even beyond. You will remember the Trump years for the rest of your life. I was around when George H.W. was president, or, I was around doing even the Reagan. I don't remember as much. A little bit here and there. I remember seeing Oliver North and the Iran-Contra. I don't remember hardly any damn thing from George H.W. Bush other than read my lips and no new time. But under Trump, There are so many memorable quotes and things to take note of, tweets and all of this stuff. And now we're talking about eating dogs and cats. You'll never forget the Trump years, good or bad. You will never forget the Trump years. I'll tell you, it is. A lot of folks favor the economy under Trump and the lack of global outbreaks under Trump. That stuff won't even be up for discussion 10, 15 years from now. Nobody, look, good economies come and go. 10 years from now, whoever is president, you won't be still talking about the Trump economy. Eating dogs and cats, January 6th. Some of the impeachments, the court case, Trump years will never be forgotten. 100 years from now, 100 years from now, he'll still be the topic of research. Looking in the comments here, a comedian smorgasbord. Yeah, you'll never forget the Trump years. It'll never be this exciting ever again. Going back to the box, the one and only Dencal, good evening, welcome to the show. How would you sum up the Trump years? Humorous, educational, enjoyable,
chaotic,
prosperous,
chaotic,
huh?
chaotic.
Oh shit!
People talk about those 4 years as if it was some great, time pass where everybody was, driving around and in Mercedes Benzes, and everybody, had businesses, and everybody could just afford whatever they wanted, and then all of a sudden, the end of the economy happened. It's just weird how he utilized that rhetoric, which we know works because they've proven it throughout history. And if you just keep telling people the same thing over and over and over again, they all start believing it. So we're left with these little tidbits of how great it was in the Trump years, and he had no wars, and these sound bites that are easily caught on to and held on by people. He's great at doing that.
But then Cal, is he good for America? Because I think it says Gene or Gian on YouTube says, how is how is Trump hurting America? Is he doing anything wrong for this country?
His rhetoric is wrong. He's literally going like he's going by people's nationality. He's using their race. He's getting out there saying, hey black people, these immigrants are taking your jobs, putting us against each other. Then he goes to the Jewish people and says, hey, if you don't vote for me, you hate your religion. Yeah. Then he's going to each one of these groups, and he's creating this divisiveness inside. But the only people he's not denigrating are the people like the person who just said something to you. Is he bad for? Yes, depending on you. If you every group in the country except for one, then I'll let you figure that one out.
I think I know where you're going with that. I don't. A lot of people like it though. A lot of people like that They say he speaks his mind. He shoots from the hip. He tells it like it is. A lot of people like that.
Yeah, but they could like that, but not from the leader of the free world. Because we know that the president's voice can move economies and markets and change how people live and stuff and how they're treated. So if you wanted to make him your top economic advisor, if you just like what he does with money or something like that, but I don't want him to be the representative of this whole country. Not somebody that gets up there and says that these Haitian people who are literally TPS status, they're legal citizens in this country right now, and say, I'm going to deport them to Venezuela. And even though we know that they're not doing the things that they're saying, he's still saying, I'm still going to deport them. We got to get them out of here. We got to get them out of here. Like, what does that say to people? To say I like that? I don't.
Yeah, you raise a good point, because I've been hearing since Trump came on the scene, we don't have an issue with immigrants. We just want you to come here legally. And the Haitians, even according to their Republican mayor of Springfield and the Republican governor of Ohio, they're all saying these people are here legally. So when they say we don't have a problem with legal immigration, is it possible they may not understand it or they may not be telling the truth?
I mean, look, there's not like there's not some place that he could go and find you know large amounts of people who are undocumented.
Yeah.
Why do that? Why do that to them in Ohio? They not who he's talking about. He's just made them a target of bomb threat. Like he's making them targets when they shouldn't be. There's plenty of places he could go, I'm sure, where he could, find some, so he could say that about, and he would make his point. But why subject people in this small town in Ohio that he is the one who failed them? He was the one who told them he was going to bring back all of those manufacturing jobs when he was the president, and there's nothing but going away, going away, going away.
Yeah. Have you seen any, since we're talking about the Haitian migrants in Springfield, because he talked about they're eating their dogs, they're eating their kids. Have anybody seen a video of a migrant eating a dog where you can verify it's happening in Springfield, Ohio? Have you seen anything like that, Den Cal?
Man, I've moved on. I can't keep doing that. I understand, it's a big thing in this country, but as far as I'm concerned, look, if we can't see it, all we keep saying is somebody told him, and even the people that told him even came out and said, "Yeah, I thought they were eating my cat, but I found my cat a couple days later." Like the people are literally saying.
Here's what's funny: your cat came up missing, and the first thing you thought is somebody ate the motherfucker. Like, where does that happen at? Dogs come up missing every day. Why would you think somebody consumed your pet?
I'm not all that well versed, but I believe she said something like a friend of hers, said, "Hey, if you're missing your cats, it's probably those Haitians." So I think it was kind of implanted in her mind that that's what was happening, so that's what she reached out and said. But then we want to allow that story to go all the way up to the top, information, the bomb thrower in the world. And then when she comes out and says, I was a mistake, now that story is nowhere to be found. Nobody's promoting that story all the way up to the top to tell these people to chill out. No, we got the VP nominee running around talking about, if I got to create stories to make people, recognize this, then that's what I'll do. Like, what does that say that somebody who's auditioning to be the vice president of the United States will tell you to your face, I'll make up shit just so we can have a story to talk about.
It's interesting he was saying it because user in the comments is also saying that's not the point about the eating cats and dogs. He says the point is how illegals are affecting Springfield. I think in addition to the whole whether they're eating animals or not, and you're right, they need to drive that up to the top for them to correct that. They need to also correct the fact that these are not illegals.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, look, there are plenty of places that something crazy might be happening with illegals, but it's not Springfield. Aurora is not being taken over by some gang. Yes, there may have been some dust up in some apartment complex or something. I'm getting different stories about it was something about the landlord or something, and he was putting them out, and they didn't want to leave. It was a bunch of stuff. I don't know. But using these places as a scapegoat when there's plenty of places he could point to.
Yeah. So why do you think he is using the Haitians in Springfield? Even though you gotta assume people have corrected him. People have told him there's no confirmed stories of people eating cats, dogs, and ducks, and these folks are here legally. Somebody has had to have gotten them by now and told them that. Yet he continues doubling down on it. Why do you think he's doing that?
Because it's a winner for his base. He's getting them riled up. They can listen to the story, be told the story is not true, and then point to something else and say, yeah, but what's really going on is they're taking these people's resources. When they don't look back a couple of years ago, when that whole city was bankrupt and nobody had jobs and everybody was on welfare, and then the mayor and the governor go out and they make deals with these corporations to start these factories up and get people jobs, and now they need more employees, people to work. They're not talking about that part. All they saying is they invaded this small, beautiful little country town. Them people were starving.
Yeah, what I think they need to do, at least on the left, if what you just stated, and that's exactly what the mayor was saying as well, that the company needed folks, they need to get the head of that corporation and have them admit that they asked for all these people to come. Now I'm assuming the head of that corporation don't want to do that, because then they'll be on the wrong side of MAGA, and that ain't safe. So, but if they ask, they need to get some proof of that.
I mean, if the mayor and the governor are telling you, then that's what it is. They're not gonna lie. They got every reason to go along with MAGA. They got every reason to be like, oh yeah, these people are invading, but they're not. They were invited there by the government, and now they trying to tell us that, but instead, like you said, we want to look to somebody else to say. I believe the governor and the mayor. I believe them when they say that they're not the problem. Like in baseball, they say tie goes to the runner. Trump is always going to get the benefit of the doubt. I don't care what Republican is saying Trump is wrong. If Trump says it, people are going to side with Trump over any Republican. So if Trump says they're eating cats and dogs, there is no Republican that could correct Trump. As long as Trump keeps saying it. As long as he keeps saying it's happening, it's happening. So what category would that put those people in that are just going to listen to whatever he says? What would we call, it's a name that we usually we group people in there like that, who just will believe anything. It doesn't matter what nobody says. They only going to listen to this one person. What would we call them?
Trump supporters. Trump supporters. They're supporting Trump. They believe he has the best vision for America. I got to move it on, DK. That was a nice try, though. Appreciate it, man. Right, man. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You know what he was trying to do? Mr. Splackerville, immigrant advocacy group, now suing Trump and Vance. Wow. I got to assume, I don't know how it would turn out, but anybody in that town that has received bomb threats and things like that, they should have a case. I mean, if it can be proven, that's one thing. And I get it. I see a hell of a bunch of people on YouTube saying the word sheep. I have no clue why they're typing in sheep. I have no clue. But I will say this. I get a lot of Trump supporters that do believe that the Haitians are eating cats and dogs. The only difference is people are short on actual evidence. Very short on that. I've been sent a hell of a lot of videos because I've been pushing back against this from day one. By the way, before I go to the next caller, tap the screen. Haven't been asking you folks to do that. Dealing with the tail end of a cold, hopefully. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 20,000. Let's see if we can make that happen. I've had a lot of folks send me videos because I've been pushing that this stuff is unfounded from day one. And people send me shit. I've seen the lady in Canton, Ohio, the black woman with mental illness, that folks are saying that was an example of a Haitian woman in the cat. It wasn't even in Springfield, and she was not Haitian. I've seen nothing in reference to dogs. Not one video of a Haitian consuming a dog in Springfield, Ohio. I've seen a lot of content that is clearly foreign. Maybe somebody preparing cats or dogs in Cambodia or somewhere. But this is their culture. Here's the picture of them doing it in Haiti. He said they're doing it in Springfield, Ohio. Why the hell is it so hard to find footage of this? If these folks are so damn desperate that they got to consume pets, how hard would it be to go up to one of them, pay them a few $100 and have them show you how they prepare, how they flee. You can go, think about during the crack epidemic during the 80s and 90s. Now, crack was illegal. You go to prison for it. They had mandatory minimums. And it was not hard for reporters to pay somebody to show them how they make crack, how they smoked it, how they got high and every damn thing with it. On camera, knowing they could go to prison. Why the hell is it so hard to find somebody that's doing this? 20,000 migrants? You can't find one? That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. You know how much money that video would be worth, considering how much MAGA is eager to prove that what Trump said is correct? That video would get millions of views. You can't find one video of somebody willing to take you in the kitchen and show you how they prepare the animal. Not one. I don't see how you can believe this. I mean, 20,000, people should be consuming these things every damn where. Anyhow, Trump, the president for women. That's what we're talking about. Trump stated he wants to be your protector, or better yet, giving you the quote from President Trump. If he is elected, he said, I want to be your protector. He says, women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free, and concluded by saying you will no longer be thinking about abortions. Question we're asking is, do you believe Trump is indeed the best candidate for women? Certainly comparing him to Kamala Harris. Going back to the box, what makes you trust him? Says Logan. Depends on what you're talking about. Trust him in what area? Going back to the box, healthy, or better yet, DMF. Oh man, I'm just somewhat in, somewhat out of it. DMF, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. It's great to be on the show again. Before I answer the question if Trump is a president for
women,
all I'm going to say is just my opinion, about a good 95% of men who are Harris supporters are beta males and they have low testosterone. That's just my opinion.
Okay, let's tackle that before we get to you, the president for women. Give me your definition of male Kamala Harris supporters. What do you mean when you say they're beta males? Define that.
They have low testosterone. For example, let's look at Pete Buttigieg, for example, or
he's gay.
Or as Joe Biden says it, Pete Buttigieg.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Because a lot of them, you know what? It's just, I don't know, it's just the nature of it. Okay? If you look at let's look at the demographics, okay? Look at a Trump supporter and then look at a Harris supporter. My opinion, it's just my opinion, okay?
I understand
my opinion is that a Trump supporter or male Trump supporters are more manly than a male that would support Harris.
Really?
Just an opinion.
What's your definition of manly?
Manly, okay? A man who can protect a woman, who won't go and run scared.
You think most male Kamala Harris supporters are not capable of protecting their women and they'll go running off?
It's just an opinion, my dude.
I get it.
Yeah. But to answer your question, if we want to talk about Trump being a president for women, I'm going to say no. You know what? Because he should be a president not just for women, but for all Americans, which is what he will be.
Okay. Now in the comments, I see. Hold on, hang on. Will G pointed out. He said, "You." This is Will G on YouTube stated. You do know there are LGBTQ plus Republicans right now. I didn't know there was many of them, but he's saying that
But there's still more. There's still more alpha than a Harris supporter.
Okay. I mean, I do believe. I don't agree with you, but I do understand where you're coming from. I do believe the gender roles are more strongly defined on a traditional basis on the Republican side. Men are going to be men, women are going to be women, and there's not a lot of room for movement. Whereas on the liberal side, liberals are going to be more okay with a woman being the head of household, maybe a man being a homemaker. Like we talk about the LGBT community, the liberals believe you can move around the field as you may. The Republicans believe, for the most part, just like it is biblically, you should stay in your lane. So I understand where you're coming from from that standpoint. It's because you don't really leave room for movement.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I wanna point something out before I do get off real quick. One of the things that I really respected Trump for is what he passed, and let me tell you, it saved my mother's life, and I am forever grateful for Trump for doing this. But he passed a bill that allowed people to be able to try whatever medication they needed to save their life.
What do you mean, try whatever medication they needed? I don't get that.
So, for example, before Trump became president, there were people were denied certain medications to be able to save the life. I forgot the name of the bill, in all honesty, but I'm going to say this much, that there was a bill that he passed, and there's actually people who have written notes to Trump thanking him for passing this bill. In fact, look it up on YouTube, my guy. There's a lady who she was terminally ill. She then wrote her back saying, "To the bravest woman that I know."
Yeah, I see in the comments people were saying it was referred to as the right to try. I don't see any issue with giving them credit for that. Just like plenty of people are going to suggest that Obama saved a ton of lives with the Universal Care Act. I mean, I get it.
So, you know what? As an independent, I'm going to tell you this much. I give Obama credit for that.
Okay.
Personally, I do.
But what about Trump? But what about our actual topic, Trump claiming to be the president for women, suggesting that women are going to be happy, healthy, and free?
With a strong economy, with women being able to, I guess, not have to work as much, because I'm sorry, but under Biden, right now, it's just not possible for a woman to be able to stay home because of this economy.
Are you saying under Trump, women were at home?
They were more under Trump. More women were at home, being able to be home with the kids, and a man being able to work.
I don't even recall Trump bragging about that happening.
It's just what I have seen personally. It's not what Trump has said. It's what I have seen personally.
Okay, yeah, you must live in a select community, because even in two-parent households, both adults generally work, and that didn't change under the Trump administration. So maybe you got something special going on in your area, but under Trump, people were working. Both parties were working.
But yeah, no, and you know what? Okay, another thing that I really enjoyed that Trump did was he made apartments cheaper. He made housing, living, he made everything cheaper. Right?
Now, in regards to you saying Trump made things cheaper, Chris Ruth on YouTube is saying you're just doing what Trump does. You're making shit up. So I'm at, how did Trump make housing cheaper? What could he do to bring down the cost of housing?
So okay, so before this whole pandemic stuff happened, there was there was a low, an all-time low, actually no, an all-time high of people being able to purchase and buy homes. How did he do that? Well, first of all, he created that pipeline, which then not only created jobs, but it made things just more cheaper. Okay.
I don't see how the pipeline is going to bring down the cost of rent.
Because it controls energy.
I think you're giving them way too much credit. In 4 years, things are not going to move that fast.
I'm gonna tell, and you know what? I really feel that when it comes to what Trump needs to do, right? If I were President Trump, if I were him, what I would do, right?
Okay.
Is I would eliminate to continue to to get things back to where they need to be. Okay, as I would remove. I would basically remove the land tax that you have to pay. So let's just say, for example, right? I have a house, right?
Okay.
And after you're done paying it, you still have to pay taxes on it because you're on a land.
Right.
Take that away. Once a person has a house, they have a house, right? No person should have to pay taxes once they finish paying off a house.
So they own the home and they no longer have to pay property taxes for the rest of their life?
Correct. That's just what I would do to make things cheaper, to be able to.
You realize?
More affordable.
Wait. But you do realize there are some more affluent areas of this country where every home in the town may be owned, and if everybody in that town did not have to pay property taxes, how does the town operate?
How does the town operate?
Yeah.
You still pay taxes like normal, but you don't have to pay property tax.
You're going to get rid of all the property tax in that whole town, and you think the town can handle that? They'll be able to operate just fine without it.
100%. It's just an opinion.
Okay, and you're talking about you could be getting rid of property tax forever. Because at least until that person dies, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine anybody agreeing with that. All right, I got to move it on. Go ahead.
One last thing I want to say, my friend, is I want to thank you for being a person for free speech and allowing both sides of the aisle come in. And you know what? I respect both sides of the aisle. Even though I said what I said, that doesn't mean I don't respect beta males or Trump supporters or anything like that.
I don't even know what to say to that shit. All right, but I do appreciate you coming through. You're always welcome back, man. Thank you for the accolade. Come on back through anytime. All right, moving on. He said that doesn't mean I don't respect beta males. All right, this dude is not making any sense, says Evan. Looking in the comments, only the feds can lower the interest rates, not the president. Well, you're going to end property taxes? That could be a ton of money. My guess is if you had a president or a politician do that, it would be like what do you call it? Like the abacus where you slide something, or a pendulum, swinging pendulum. Something on the other side would have to make that up. That's too much money. Something would have to make that up. Here's one of the things that the 99% often complain about. Why are all the cuts and discounts for the haves as opposed to the have-nots? Obviously, property tax is going to people who own property. Why are there no assistance programs or ideas for people who have less than? I mean, because that's clearly a dig at those who have property tax when most Americans are renting. I mean, so the landlord saves money. But what about the guy that's renting? Now, maybe the landlord may drop rents, but that's optional. Now, it would be different if he said, we're going to forgive property tax for owners of rental property if they can demonstrate that they have brought down the cost of renting units in their structures accordingly. Then it's passing things down to folks at the bottom. But if you get a landlord a discount and there's no requirement that he share it with the tenants, you got to assume a lot of them are not going to do that. They may just go out and buy another building. Looking in the comments, tap the screen. So happy to see you. Thank you there, Star. I'm trying to make it work. Like I said, I'm been under the weather, so I haven't been on in a while. I mean, I've been under the weather, still that way, trying to get out of it. Haven't gotten my flu shot. How many of you folks have received a vaccination for the flu? Now, I know in this audience, gonna be a hell of a lot of you folks that may not be in favor of it, but I didn't get my flu shot. I hear there's another COVID booster shot. I haven't gotten any damn thing, and I'm sick, so I don't know. How many, I see in the comments, a lot of people saying, hell no, I got to get that for work. Oh, wow, your job makes you get well, maybe the booster. All right, just go to the gym. You know how it sucks to work out when your nose is stopped up, when you're already sweating before you exercise. I don't know about that one. Supply and demand economics states property tax savings would be passed on to a tenant. That's trickle down economics. Scott says supply and demand economics states property tax savings would be passed on to a tenant. Yeah, if the analyst, if the economic major that's telling you that supports trickle down economics. In some cases, it's true. If you cut property taxes, there are some landlords that would reduce their rents. But as I stated, some other landlords would use that extra money maybe to expand and get more units. Maybe get another property with that excess money. Adding that on to maybe they already got money in savings and they get another property. Everybody that receives some type of financial relief up high, don't pass it down to people down low. I don't buy into trickle down economics because I think anytime you make sharing optional, people are not going to share. And that's how trickle down economics works. It's about pretty much accepting or assuming that if you look out for those on the top, they're going to share with those on the bottom. It doesn't always work that way. Going back to the box, tap the screen, 35,000. Smash that like button on YouTube. Get us up to about 60. You encourage Americans to buy and hold and discourage big corporations from buying up neighborhoods. Yeah, what is it called when you rent houses? Thank you, DJ Julio. Airbnb. That's what's happening with Airbnb is corporations. People are buying all these houses up, and it's getting to the point where somebody who wants to live in a house in a neighborhood has to pay more because they're competing against all these cash Airbnb investment buyers. So, yeah, I've seen actual evidence of that happening. Airbnb is causing housing shortages. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, you're competing with people who got plenty of money. So if you're some kind of first-time home buyer, and you're competing with Airbnb buyers in your neighborhood, they're all investors. They got plenty of money. You and your wife or you and your husband looking for your first home, you don't have plenty of money. They're likely to be able to put more down and all of that. So it will affect the first-time home buyers. I see the comments. Jonathan says you have no chance. Right. We had 8 years of Obama. Let's bring that back. That's not legal. Go into the box. Damn, Jonathan. Good afternoon. This is a rough show for me. Good afternoon, Jonathan. Welcome back. 25,000 for first-time home buyers. You're talking about the immigrant? Is that what you're talking about, Den Cal? 25K for first-time home buyers? I don't think so.
That's a new Kamala post.
Yes, she is offering that. She is offering
Obama
that.
did 8,000 and it blew up. We bought the housing market back. I wish I'd have got a chance to get this 25,000, I'd be all over this.
But I have to ask the obvious question. Has Kamala Harris explained where that 25K is going to come from?
Yes, she explained that. Here's the thing that people don't seem to understand. If billionaires pay their fair share now that they owe, it would kill a whole lot of our deficit. That's what people keep missing.
But is that ever going to happen?
Yes, it does. There's so many loopholes in our tax code that they just hold their money and let their lawyers work it out. And it just sits there. It can just sit there and they can use it as income because they still have it, which is how you can buy other properties. But you owe money to the IRS that you ain't paid, but it's still your money.
Do you think that's ever going to happen where the haves are properly, they have to pay their proper due? I mean, as you pointed out, loopholes, they got control of the political system. They can, they can lobby and get rid of politicians. Will that ever happen?
It's possible, but you have to use their own tactics against it. Those are the lawyers that you want to seek out. The ones that used to help them, that somehow got disgruntled, didn't get paid, that helped somebody out. Like, you see how much you can bring down a big person with a small person they didn't pay.
Yeah. I'm hearing though, because who used to say that, paying their fair share, that was a big Bernie Sanders thing. I'm hearing that Tim Walz may actually be as progressive, if not further to the left than Bernie Sanders.
I actually think he may be.
Really?
He may be a little further left than Bernie Sanders.
Tim Walz.
That's hard to say, ain't it? Yeah.
Well, you talk about tampons in the boy bathroom.
I'm gonna say this. You got to remember, Bernie is an independent. Yeah. I think Tim Walz is really an independent, up under a Democratic shield.
Wow.
Just like really Bernie is. Until he ran for president, Bernie was an independent. You wouldn't even associate him with Democratic ideology.
So we might possibly have two vice presidential candidates that are on the extreme end of the spectrum, because J.D. Vance is far, far right, further right than Trump.
J.D. Vance is to nowhere. J.D. Vance is for who pays him.
Really? No.
4 years ago, J.D. Vance was an independent. Remember? He was a Republican, but he was conservative. He was closer to independents than Republicans. Now he's done gone the whole way over to MAGA. How do you do that in 4 years?
Well, MAGA is not really Republican, though. MAGA is its own movement.
So how do you go from conservative to extreme?
Well, conservatives are right.
With an Indian wife.
I can't explain that.
Exactly, because we've both been in the house with women. You don't get to say what you want to.
Yeah. So what do you think? Trump, speaking of women, Trump is saying he will be the president for women. What say you? You don't believe it, sounds like.
What are you talking about, Trump? I wouldn't believe Trump if he bought me a glass of water and it was clear and said it was from Flint, Michigan. I would not believe anything he had to say.
But folks point out we had a good economy under him, a robust economy. We didn't have wars. You don't see any redeeming qualities from Trump.
Trump had one redeeming quality. when he first came in,
Okay.
he was different. He was
Right.
different. He could have bought a lot of people. He could have actually built up a lot. He could have made the United States he could have made it the best place to, and I rooted for him. When he won, I didn't vote for him. I did not vote for him. But when he won, I rooted for him. I was like, okay, you know, we've never had a president that wasn't looking out for us. Not looking out for the United States. So this man can make a deal. This man's gonna get all this stuff taken care of. I was riding with him for a year and a half. Charlottesville happened.
Oh. You sound like Dave Chappelle on Saturday Night Live, who's talked about at least give him a chance or whatever. Because, you know, a lot of Trump supporters say nobody ever gave him a chance from day one. But, yeah, Dave Chappelle was on Saturday Night Live saying, you know, give him a chance. You know, he's in there now. And so you said about a year and a half, you were rolling with him.
Yeah, I mean, he had won. What did I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know, usually like, okay, we didn't want Bush to win. He won. We rode with him. We were military. We had no choice.
But what did he do? You're citing Charlottesville as the reason you went separate ways from Trump. What did he do in Charlottesville? I mean, he just simply said there were good people on both sides, talking about the folks who were protesting the statues coming down, and then folks who wanted to take them down. He's just simply saying there's good people on both sides. What did he do?
Lyndon B. Johnson didn't even say that about Selma.
Well, they weren't all Nazis, is what he's saying.
They weren't all Nazis. Some of them were Proud Boys.
Ooh, okay, I get your point.
Yeah, you know, man. You know, we know. I mean, I think about it like Trump. He's always been our poor man's idea of the monopoly man. He's been the monopoly man our whole life.
Yeah.
You remember the time Donald Trump Black version?
The time what?
The time Donald Trump Black version. That song, Donald Trump Black version.
I know the time. I don't remember that song.
Yeah, that was one of their slow songs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you talking about Morris Day and all them? I don't think I ever heard that one before. I want to say something real quick before you continue. Somebody in the comments made a statement I wanted to respond to. I don't know. It just moved, but shit. Jeremy Downs says, then he condemned the alt-right. I think the problem with Trump condemning, let's say the KKK or some racist group or the alt-right as you're talking about, there's too many instances after him condemning them where he's then hanging with them. Like this.
Yeah, I can't condemn you and then eat dinner with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, you talking about Nick Fuentes with Kanye West. Then this woman, what was the woman that just got off Air Force One the other day? She's one of those. Yeah, there's too many cases where he condemns them, but then he's affiliated with them again. So I don't know if the condemnation is going to be valid at that point.
Yeah, I couldn't tell my wife that, this girl that I've been hanging with, we just friends. You couldn't do that.
Yeah,
you couldn't do that.
I gotta assume.
I don't believe that in real life.
You know,
I don't believe I'm cute in real life.
You gotta assume with somebody. And by the way, the guy out, the gubernatorial candidate out there in North Carolina, the black guy, now Trump suggested that he was better than Martin Luther King.
I knew that guy too. That's crazy.
So
back when we were younger, I actually knew him
in person.
Yeah, I knew him. He wasn't like that. I mean, he was one of the guys. I mean, I don't know what this is. I have no idea. I mean, I haven't talked to the guy in 20 years.
Right,
but like I'm saying, he was just one of the dudes.
Damn.
You know, we were young at A&T, aspiring to be better.
He wants to bring back slavery, a black man.
This dude sat at 3 seats down from me in African American studies. That was not going on.
I mean, maybe he thought maybe it's a cash play. Sometimes, like Candace Owens, if you say the right thing.
I'm not mad at you for trying to make your paper.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not mad at you for making your paper.
Sound like he was on some websites just trolling and saying some, black.
I mean, they always say people get radicalized. You never know what happens to people.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I haven't been around it.
Well, I will say this, because this is one of the things, the biggest issues that MAGA will say Trump had is that, he hired people that were not loyal, and, a lot of folks turned on him. It looks like he still definitely has a problem vetting people. Like this guy and Laura Loom. Like, why are you hanging with these people? I don't understand it. I mean, it seems like somebody would be advising him, this is not good for your presidency, for your candidacy. You can hang with him once you win, but leading up to it, I mean, you take in Lauren Loomer. Lauren Loomer is a 9/11 denier, or whatever the hell you want to call it. You take her to a 9/11 memorial?
I bet she suggested that.
Wow. Well, we'll see if it hurts
Somebody
him.
is sabotaging this guy.
Hey, some would say that J.D. Vance is doing it. Some would say that J.D. Vance is doing it also. But Jonathan?
I mean, if you think about it, J.D. Vance, if Trump wins, J.D. Vance is vice president. How long do you think it will take him to call for the 25th Amendment?
Ooh. I think MAGA wants Trump. They don't want JD. I don't think MAGA would allow it.
But once they're in office, there's nothing, because JD Vance is picking that cabinet. Trump's not picking that cabinet.
You think so? I don't agree with
Trump's
that.
not picking that cabinet. Trump is clear.
You think JD Vance is picking the cabinet and not Trump? I don't.
He's like he passed it on the Pence before. That's why you have so many people that he don't like.
Okay, you could be right. Trump doesn't seem like the guy that lets anybody take the wheel, though. I have a hard time seeing that one.
Only on jobs he doesn't want.
Good point.
He just wants to be president. He doesn't want to rule. He just wants to be president. He wants a title, and he wants to be able to say he's president. He wants to be able to say stuff, and it gets done and move on, just like running a company.
Fair point, Jonathan. I do got to move it on. Thank you.
I appreciate you, though. I thank you for your time.
You as well. Come on back anytime. A little bit rough on the throat here. Will G says those Trump opportunity zones, so-called for black people, is really gentrification on roids. Ooh, I'd have to look that up. The opportunity zones for black people is really gentrification on roids. I'd like to know what's making you say that. That's pretty... Oh. I mean, we know what gentrification is. All right, Trump is not for women. He is for getting that gawk from Laura Loomer. You think, the photos of Trump with Laura Loomer did look suspect. I don't know. I don't know if Trump is trying to have some type of intimate relations with her, though. But moving on with the program, I'm trying to see if I can tell you this. Like I said, I got a hell of a throat issue going on. Project 2025, talk about it. What is there really to talk about? Trump continues to deny any involvement. His name is mentioned all through it. He's not very vocal or critical of the people that put his name in it. J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for Project 2025. So at the very least, Trump can deny Project 2025 all he wants. Your vice presidential pick wrote the foreword for it. So even if you don't know nothing about it, at least half of the administration you're trying to get us to elect does. So J.D. Vance wrote the foreword for Project 2025. Trump's name is mentioned in it dozens of times, and Trump is not critical of them doing it. Not to mention many of the folks that wrote different chapters in Project 2025 were appointed during the Trump's 2016 to 2020 administration. I'm just going to say this, and I see in the comments, DJ something, I can't read the name, that says left-wing propaganda. Let's go with what you're saying. That blaming Project 2025 on Trump is left-wing propaganda. You think the right wouldn't do the same damn thing? If you had a far-left manifesto, a vision of a very far left-wing America, and Several Obama appointees wrote the damn book, or several Biden appointees wrote the book. Kamala Harris's name is all throughout it. And Tim Walz wrote the foreword. You talking about left-wing propaganda? You think the right wouldn't do the same shit? You think the right wouldn't say this? You think the right would be like, no, we believe Kamala. She don't have nothing to do with it. Come on now, let's be realistic about it. Let's see it from both sides. Kamala Harris ain't criticizing nobody that wrote it. She don't seem to have, all she said is I ain't got nothing to do with it. Her name's all in it. People that are tied to her writing it, wrote the thing, her own VP pick, wrote the foreword. And all she said is, well, I don't know nothing about it. You wouldn't buy it either. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. You wouldn't accept that either. You would be like, that's bullshit. She has plenty to do with it. So just look at it. Step outside of your own position and look at it from the outside. You would not buy that. You would not. There's no way you would buy that. What do you think that's important? I think that Trump stating that he's going to be the president of women, I think that's important. Trump said, I want to be your protector. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. And even followed up by saying you will no longer be thinking about abortions. I think that's important. What about you? All right, going back to the box. Everybody forget about Q. No, I think, well, some of this stuff is probably related to that. Some of this stuff is probably very along the same lines of that. Michael, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Go get my new book called Tim Leftist Plan for 2025. It's the D. Hey, Michael, good evening.
What's going on, man? How you doing? You good?
I'm trying to make it through. Had a little rough patch.
I didn't see no live. I was like, his ass and got in the car with Gen X and DJ Julio, and we ain't heard from his ass. I was like, I told your ass.
You thought I was hanging around like Mike Pence on January 6th, huh?
Yeah, I was looking for you. I'm like, I ain't seen my brother on live in the past couple of days. Yeah, I wish I had that location. But anyway, listen, go back to DMF, and I know what those initials stand for. One of your guests was on 2 before. It was absolutely.
What does DMF stand for?
Well, dumb motherfucker is what I got from what he was saying.
Oh. Damn. Okay.
That's just my opinion, like he was saying. Right. And the reason I'm saying this, listen, is Trump for women? What evidence do we have that he's for women? We got plenty of evidence that he doesn't respect women.
Yeah, see in the comments, Andy's also telling me what you said, don't get in the car with them. Now, you're saying that Trump does not respect women. What is that based on?
Well, it's based on his adjudicated rapist. It's based on the way he looks at his own damn daughter. That's not normal. That doesn't say that a man has respect for women. He overturned Roe v. Wade, proudly overturned Roe v. Wade, and said it. And he's very proud of it. So what evidence has he shown us that he respects women? 3 different wives. He cheated on all of them with the previous one. What evidence has he showed us that he respects women? He doesn't respect Kamala Harris because he calls her out of her name, and we both know that that's a dog whistle. But he does that to all women. He does it to every woman that doesn't agree with him, and even the ones that agree with him, he objectifies them physically and sexually all the time. Either they're pretty or they've got a great body.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the man came up in a different era, but when you say he overturned Roe v. Wade, and that you're using that as a sign he doesn't respect women, what about the notion that, listen, he just wanted to protect the life of the unborn?
Well, that's just what it is. It's a bullshit notion. Because if he cared about it, why are we trying to get involved in what should be right for women? Why are we doing that? Nobody has a law out there that's saying, hey, listen, not only should women not be able to get abortions, but hey, man, you should get one of your nuts cut off. You seen that legislation hit anybody's table yet? Of course not. Of course not. Right? Because here's the thing. It's nobody's business. We're just talking about how women need to be responsible about AB, right? We're just talking about women. We ain't talking about men. We ain't talking about, dumbass Django Stevens down there in North Carolina talking about women just need to pull their skirts down and keep their legs closed. Yeah. He is saying nothing about the behavior of men. It's all about, so you can't, and he's supposed to be Martin Luther King 2.0, which also tells you that Donald Trump couldn't vet a damn frog out of a pond. He is so inadequate of doing. Listen, how could you not vet this guy and stand up on a stage? How could that happen? You know why? Because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He said it because he's hoping that black people will gravitate to this guy without doing any vetting. He just wants to get in to get rid of these damn felonies. And that's all he's trying to do.
I'm watching Bill O'Reilly, who is a long-term friend of Trump's, and he really wants Trump to win, and he kind of went off about that too. Like, why the hell didn't you vet this guy? Like, this guy, because Bill O'Reilly's like, I believe everything they're saying about this dude. He's, because the way CNN tracked his emails. I mean, he's using the same email and username for years. So, because he's claiming he's going to sue him or whatever, that ain't going nowhere. That ain't going nowhere. Huh?
Think about this. The people closest to him that resigned and quit and left,
exactly,
they would know the truth, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they know the truth?
Exactly.
Wouldn't they know the damn truth? It's the same thing. Listen, the whole thing in Springfield, it's all dog whistles. They're trying to dehumanize these Haitians to make you feel good about what you want to do to them. That is the oldest. It's been going on since the beginning of time. When we were considered 3/5 of a person, if you're 3/5 of a person, we don't consider you human. So we feel good about the shit we're doing to you. That's all this is. Because listen, Jake, I'm telling the truth, but that's cool. At the end of the day, that's what.
So you believe it's just basically racism?
Absolutely, but think about it. If I back you into a corner, you got one decision to make. What side you gonna be on? Yeah, this is a bottom line, and that's what's going on. And at the end of the day, when we just try to placate this bullshit to make it seem like it's okay, it's not okay. And I'm not talking about just black folks or brown folks. I'm talking about all of us. When we make excuses like DMF did about, it's beta men. He don't know how to. He probably don't get no pussy. First of all, listening to the way he's talking, because it makes no sense. It doesn't.
Well, let me push back. Okay, let me put my MAGA hat on and push back, like my devil's advocate side. I gotta tell you, one of the reasons Trump is doing so well with men versus women is that the whole beta male argument he made. There is some validity to it, such as hold on, such as a lot of men, even black men, minority men do not like all of the gains of the LGBT community and the transgender stuff that the liberals are throwing up everywhere. And they do see a lot of emasculating of men coming from the left. So even though I don't like the way he worded it, it is resonating with a lot of men, even men of color.
Because listen, there's a lot of insecure men out there. Let's just call it what it is. And anytime you get something to grab onto to mask what's really going on with you or yourself or how you feel, because everything we're talking about AB, it's really not about that. It's about controlling, right? It's about controlling.
Wait. You do realize they're telling men that other dudes that were born men, you have to accept that as a woman now. A lot of alpha males are like, hell no. They're telling men you gotta accept the dude as a woman.
And whether I agree with that or not, and I hear that argument, but that's what I'm trying to tell you, is they're taking that one piece and going, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Even if they're saying that's enough for me to stay on this side, but it's all just like Johnny 11 said, batshit crazy, because it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say this. Have you watched From Russia with Lev? Have you watched it yet?
From Russia with the James Bond movie?
No. There's a documentary out about the first impeachment. It's called From Russia with Lev, L-E-V.
Never heard of it.
It's a documentary. You need to look it up. You need to go watch it. When you watch that documentary, you're going to see a lot of. I forgot the guy's name. He's slipping my mind. But he was a Russian guy who was secretly recording and videotaping these meetings with Trump and these Trump officials and these Russian officials, and you got to watch it. It's deep.
Where you find it?
It's deep. I think it's either on Peacock or Amazon. Somebody in the comments will probably say. But now here's the thing. That's right, because Rachel Maddow did produce it, and it's deep, and they're going to say it's propaganda. It's just funny how they turn the facts of
Well,
life
wait
into
a minute, though.
propaganda.
In defense of MAGA, you're talking about something that's anti-Trump coming from Rachel Maddow. That would be like, I mean, something, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't accept
No.
something that's anti-liberal coming from Sean Hannity, would you?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Sean Hannity and Fox News, because Fox News is actually their words, not mine, because they're for entertainment purposes only. So I wouldn't accept any shit that came from that network. That's why they have the lawsuit they have for misinformation 3 or 4 freaking years ago. So absolutely not. But here's the thing. You got to measure these things realistically. You got to measure for what they are. Tim, if you picked up your camera and there was a bunch of empty McDonald's bags all in your back seat, could we fairly assume that you like the shit out of McDonald's?
Pretty much.
Okay, so with everyone hanging around Trump that are Christian nationals, KKK, Proud Boys, Laura Loomer, JD Vance, can we assume that he has those views if he runs with them? Everybody on your life has heard this, especially if you're black, right? Because your mom used to tell you this: hey, I don't want you hanging around them people. They tell the lies, the kind of lies that get people killed, or you a lie and the truth ain't in you, right? We've always been warned about the people we hang around.
Yeah.
Even if you take the right's narrative, right? Even if you take the right's narrative, then why is he surrounded by the very things consistently? Not sometimes, consistently. And if you're trying to listen, if you were running around, but say you didn't like to deal with anybody from the LGBTQ, right? That's what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But every time we look up, you in photos with them, you at their clubs, you having dinner with them. But that's what I'm saying, Tim. Let's just make it.
I can't. Yeah, I'm generally able to put on my devil's advocate hat. I don't have a comeback for that. He does hang around a lot of people
all
like
the
that.
time.
Yeah, I don't have a comeback for that.
Yes. So what are you supposed to do with all of this? At the end of the day, he's not for women. He definitely ain't for black women. And you also know the dog whistle about saying her name consistently incorrectly, right? Because he can't call her gal, right? He can't call your boy no more. They've been doing that since the 60s, Tim, and we know that. Let's just call it what it is. So you say her name wrong because it completely disrespects her. And they know.
Well, shit, I don't think you need to say her. I don't think he needs to say her name wrong to disrespect her. He just called her dumb in Pennsylvania the other day. He's calling her stupid. So he's disrespected her already.
He's calling her stupid. He got family that won't support him. People from his former administration won't support him. He's got former presidents and vice presidents that won't support him. He got a bunch of people that was on his administration that have got felonies, have been locked up and been to prison. The people that you are around, what you permit, you promote. Right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I can't argue with it. I got to move it on, but I can't push back on the fact that he keeps getting caught hanging around these folks with these deep racial issues, like the governor for North Carolina now, Laura Loomer. I mean, that does seem to keep happening, and I can't explain it away. Appreciate you coming in, Michael.
I'll make this one last comment, then I'm gonna let you go.
Sure.
Have you ever seen a candidate in the history of watching politics? This is for everybody, where people have to always come back and try to explain, well, what he meant was, well, we're taking it out of context. Well, he wasn't really good at articulating. Well, really, what he really meant was, that's who you want sitting in that chair talking to other foreign leaders about what he really meant and how he can never articulate his point. That's what we're talking about.
I gotta go. Thank you for coming through.
That's right.
I don't have any comeback for that. All right, moving on with
again, brother. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you. I don't have any comeback for that, and that is, as I said on the Trump side of the aisle, that is poor vetting while he's hanging around these people, and then coming back with statements like, "Well, I didn't know the person." I mean, like, I know the Secret Service has almost caused Trump life to be taken twice in the last few months. So I'm not going to say the Secret Service is doing their job as well as they should, but to get access to former President Trump, the Secret Service has to vet you also. Like when Jared Kushner, when Trump wanted to put Ivanka's husband or whatever, Jared Kushner in the White House, they weren't going to give him clearance. They vetted him in his overseas connections. They weren't going to give him clearance. Now, Trump forced them to give him clearance. Well, when Nick Fuentes, for instance, showed up to Mar-a-Lago with Kanye West. And it later came out that Trump was hanging around this guy, an alleged white supremacist or whatever. Trump said, I didn't know who the guy is. My question is, the Secret Service, you got to assume some of those Secret Service members are MAGA. They want Trump to win. I mean, not only do they like their job securing the president, some of them probably voted for him and wants him to get reelected. They got access to information. Sir, this individual you're letting in your house, I got a printout. These are some of the things he said recently. And if he comes in here and the media gets hold of this, it's not going to look good for you. Same thing with Lauren Loomer. You got to assume that people are telling him ahead of time, sir, this might not be a good thing for your image. So when he's coming back constantly saying he doesn't know who these people are, how could you get access to a former president and he don't even know who the hell you are? That doesn't make sense. It's hard as hell to get access to people at this level. And he's leading you to believe people are getting access to him that he don't even know. That is problematic, which is what my last caller was alluding to, and I didn't have a pushback for that. That doesn't make sense. If you're claiming that you don't know who these people are, he was in your house. And you got secret. I don't even let people in my damn house I don't know. And I don't have anybody guarding my shit. That doesn't make sense. How did he get access to you? So you gotta assume Kanye West put in a request to meet Trump. And he clearly stated who was with him. Clearly stated that. Because the Secret Service got to clear him. And before they met Trump, Trump was told these people are either on the way or they're on the grounds of the property. Would you like to accept a meeting with him? And he didn't say, well, who the hell is this other guy with him? If you do a little bit of dissection of it, I got to admit, it does not make a lot of sense. Looking in the comments, Will G, Haitians were the first to flag in the face and beat the hell out of colonizers. And they've been hated ever since. Yeah, you're right. Haiti became the first island of escaped slaves. And, of course, nobody wanted to do shit for them, which is why they remain the poorest nation in the North America, the what is it called? The Caribbean, just on this side of this side of the globe. That's the poorest nation. Will G, Trump brought it all on himself, just like they tell unarmed black people getting executed, or arrested. I'll leave it up to you folks. Put a red cap on it, Tim, says Billy. Why we go back to the box? But I do believe for former President Trump, vetting of people he's going to encounter will help him out tremendously. Vetting folks and just calming down the rhetoric a little bit, and I think he would have won. I think on paper, I say it all the time, I think on paper Trump deserved a second term. But he did so many things that did not have anything to do with running the country that has really harmed his image. Now, Trump, before I go back to the box, Trump 2016 to 2020 is not Trump 2024 to 2028. The Trump you'll get in November, you didn't have the abortion bans, you didn't have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court that could easily become a 7-2. He didn't have immunity rulers from the Supreme Court. He's a different guy now. This is not, I understand folks want to reelect Trump to get the economy back on track. We want that economy that maybe Biden did not give us. But he's bringing along a lot of new things that you didn't deal with the first time. And some of that stuff is a little bit far to the right. Let's try it again. Jeremy, good afternoon.
How are you, Tim?
I'm doing good. Good to have you back on. What am I getting wrong, Jeremy?
Well, first off, guilt by association is a fallacy. And I understand that, once you get to this level, you really have to be careful about who you let in and who you don't. But a lot of the people that Trump lets in, he lets in because he doesn't trust a lot of people to do the vetting for him, because deep state people are not always trustworthy.
You can't hire somebody that's not in the deep state?
And it's a little hard when you get to that level because there's a lot of the swamp authority up there. And also depending on how far back we go, if you go before Trump's presidency, it just depends on if you're in the same industry. At that point, I don't even care.
You're telling me somebody at Trump's level with infinite resources cannot find somebody to hire to properly vet people who are beating him?
Well, once you get into the world of politics, it becomes much harder because politics is kind of already a giant swamp. So you're kind of entering a world that's completely separate from the world of like business and stuff like that. Like, let me explain. So, let's say, for instance, that you wanted to get to the House of Congress. Let's say you're not even, and like you're not going for, or you're going for like the Senate or the House, and you're not going for like the presidency. Most of the people who have got there have been in politics for a long period of time, and there's always so many underhanded deals, so much lying and so much deception that by the time you get there, if all of a sudden you're fresh to Congress and you've never like served in any other location and had to do any of the underhandedness that gets you there, you're walking into kind of a den of snakes, and that's the only way you can really play
Jeremy, ball. The other presidential candidates were not having this much trouble. I mean, he's not the first person to do the job. They weren't having all these problems.
Ooh, I would disagree. Like,
let's take Biden. Give me some comparables. Laura Loomer, Nick Fuentes. Give me some comparables that Biden has been caught hanging around.
Oh, he actually did the eulogy for a KKK member.
Yeah, you're talking about Senator Byrd, who before dying in 2010 had become favorable to the NAACP. I believe Jesse Jackson and Obama was at his funeral. Now, I know he was a KKK member earlier in his life, but he had clearly turned his life around.
I believe people can change, but I do find it kind of suspicious that like they were that close for that long. There's a wait,
hold on. I'm talking about Trump while he's president. I'm not talking about who Trump hung around back in the 80s or the 70s. You're bringing up Biden hanging around people long before he became president. Biden has been president now for 4 years. Give me some of those characters like Trump has been hanging around since he's been in the presidential spotlight. Who has Biden been hanging around?
I didn't come prepared for that. Sorry. Hey man, but next time I promise I'll have a whole list.
Okay.
Just for you, just because you're so handsome.
All right. So Trump, the president for women, what say you?
I say yes, but I don't think that's a particularly focused issue. You see, abortion is one of those things where it's like you'd say it's anti-women or pro-woman, and but it really depends on whether you believe that the life of the child is more important than the life of the mother, and which one you think supersedes what. And at the end of the day, there are actually more supporters of banning abortion that are women than there are men.
Banning it outright or in the late term? What do you mean? We say
banning it outright and full pro-abortion and women. Full anti-abortion women are actually more common than full anti-abortion men. This is actually from a CNN poll that was taken back in 2017, I believe.
I have not. No, why do you think there's such a fuss? Why is Trump losing with women so bad?
Well, if I really had to say it, I really think that the same thing that got him into office the first time is gonna make is a nobody outside of the Hollywood scene. You know, outside of that, that's what got him all the attention to get him into office in the first place by being inflammatory. But now that he's in that world, it's kind of working against him, and I think that's a really important thing to watch out for.
You know, that's a good. Now that we haven't agreed on much, but I agree with you 100% that what Trump did to get in office in 2016, coming down the escalator in 2015, that is not working in 2024. He's like an old dog, refusing to learn a new trick. What you did back then against Hillary Clinton and being an outsider and flipping the system, you've been part of that system now. That old name calling, that stuff is not going to work like that. I agree with that. I do believe he needs to change, but is it too late?
I don't think it is, but he needs to do the same thing that old rock stars do. You know, like when a rock star is young, in their 20s and their 30s, and, you know, they're like that punk rock kid, you know, wearing like the black leather jackets and singing about F the system. You know, I mean, they got that young, angry energy. Well, when they get older, they got to change their tune. Now, they shouldn't go full establishment. That's what I don't think Trump should do. But I think he should come back as kind of the wiser, old, respectable kind of guy.
But can you get people to believe that with only 6 weeks left?
I think if he really started right now, he could pull it off. 6 weeks, I know it ain't a lot of time, but
it ain't.
Think about it. But the thing is, people have the memory of a goldfish these days. I'm being dead serious. Like nowadays, like the Trump assassination thing is something that only in political circles that we run in, people really remember.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Politics move fast, and you say a memory of a goldfish, but January 6th, that is never going to be forgotten. I think all of us watching right now, I don't care if you live to be 120, you will remember January 6th taking place. It's nowhere near as, in my opinion, as chaotic as 9/11, but it's probably damn near as memorable for Americans. I don't think most people are going to forget January 6th.
I don't agree, and here's why. The media keeps talking about it nonstop, but I think that's the media trying to keep it alive.
The media? Wait. Trump is actually coming out on stage at some of his rallies, playing the national anthem with those incarcerated participants singing in the background. He's doing that. That's not the media.
Yeah, but the media also does talk about it all the time. The media constantly reminds the public that it happened and that it was bad all the time. And I don't think it was a good thing, and just to be clear, I just think that it was kind of exaggerated just how bad it was. Like, because think about this. Remember Chaz? Remember Seattle?
Yeah.
People forget that was a thing. That there was an entire area, people died, and they died there while it was happening. It wasn't just some guy who happened to be working there who died like 3 days later after the event happened to do an injury.
It's the significance, though, Jeremy. Chaz was Antifa or some left-wing outlets or whatever you want to call them, taking over like 5 or 6 blocks in Seattle or something like that. January 6th was the entire head of the U.S. government being held hostage with the exception of Trump on a world stage. People overseas don't know anything about Chaz. They knew about January 6th. That made world news.
There is some truth to that, but there were plenty of like burnings and actual destruction. And, you know, I understand the significance. It's D.C. It's not Seattle. It's not Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, I understand.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's Chicago or Los Angeles. You're talking about all of the Senate, all of Congress. They exposed how weak America was. On that day, they could have literally conquered the American government. The only person of leadership left would have been Trump, and he would have had to appoint all of the Senate and the Congress to replace him. Our allies and enemies saw how weak we were that day. That any Black Lives Matter riot or Chaz, that stuff pales in comparison to that.
Yeah, but do you see my points about how quickly people forget, though?
They don't forget January 6th. I don't think they're going to forget that.
I don't know. One thing's for sure. I do think Trump, to bring it back to the original point, I do think Trump can go ahead and reel back his image into something that I think is more like, hey, look at me. I've been president and for 4 years before, and I have been a businessman, and I am an experienced person. You should trust me. I think he can do it. I really, really do. I think the one thing he cannot do is he's going to make zingers one way or another. That's just him. He has to make sure his zingers are for something that can't be denied.
What about him calling Kamala Harris dumb Now, Nikki Haley has stated that he needs to stop doing that. You can criticize her policies or whatever, but the woman is accomplished. I mean, she was an attorney general. She's a district attorney. She became a senator. Now she's a vice president. Why is he calling her dumb?
Personally, I honestly don't think that's really the worst he could do. I think, and I don't even think it's really that bad. Like, come on, people call each other dumb all the time. It's such a common.
I remember Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton going at it. In fact, Hillary Clinton didn't even want to concede when she lost to Obama. They never called each other dumb. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. It doesn't usually happen on the political level of actual candidates running. But trust me, like, come on, we hear it all the time. Anything that's Polititalk, or political YouTube or political any social media, there's people calling each other dumb all the time. It's not
at the presidential level.
Yes, this is a little bit unprecedented, but not for Trump. Not for Trump.
Yeah,
this is kind of his forte. And plus, again, you know what? If he were to say she's a DEI hire, that might be a little bit more sketchy, just because she does have a background, in politics.
Are you sure he hasn't said that?
Well, I think he might have. The only way he could, but I do think he could swing it. The only way he could really swing it is if he said that she becoming a vice president was a DEI decision, because she wasn't popular during the primaries in 2020.
But you do remember that Trump and Hillary Clinton were the two least popular presidential candidates ever in 2016. So Trump wasn't exactly popular either. He's the first president we've ever had that never reached the 50% popularity level. So he himself is not very popular.
Yeah, again, this is why I say he's going to use his rhetoric one way, or he's going to call names. He should be careful to do it on things he can guarantee. Like a good thing he can go after would be, price hikes. Like when he calls her Comrade Kamala or something like that. That's kind of funny, because you can actually verify that like price ceilings and price controls don't work. Economists all over the place can debunk how bad how those work, and show that that's actually a bad thing, and show that the Soviet Union tried that, Maoist China tried that, every communist country out there tried that, and it doesn't work. So calling her Comrade Kamala is actually, I think, a winning strategy compared to a lot of the other stuff that he said.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a price ceiling for me to see somebody as a communist. You got to connect more to communism between Kamala Harris and that. I mean, that ain't saying shit. I mean, that's just like Trump is promising to give police immunity from prosecution. What type of government does that? Do we automatically assume he's an authoritarian because he wants to give police immunity?
Well, comrade, I don't know what kind of country you'll be talking about, but I have to say you're very handsome.
All right, Jeremy. Appreciate you coming in here as always.
Always good to talk to you.
You too. It's a pleasure. Real quick in the comments, Crystal Lopez makes an interesting point. Kanye West is black. Nick Fuentes is Mexican. Is that true? Mexican? Is he? They're being called, wait a minute. Nick, Mexican, called white supremacists by white liberal women, journalists. Laugh my ass off, okay, must be true. Now, you saying Spanish. Okay, so in the comments, Holiday 360 says Nick Fuentes is Spanish. Okay. I mean, let me just say this. And you make a point. I understand the relevance. I won't say make a point, but I understand the relevance. You're saying, how can you call Kanye West or Nick Fuentes white supremacists when they're not even white, and the person doing it is white journalists? The governor of North Carolina, that guy running for, the gubernatorial candidate for North Carolina, he's a black man. He's online talking about bringing slavery back, allegedly, and that he's a black Nazi. That's a white supremacist. You don't have to be white to be in favor of white supremacy. There were blacks that fought on behalf of the Confederates. I get your point, but if you're spewing and promoting the same ideology, like you mentioned Nick Fuentes. I don't know a lot about Nick Fuentes, so I can't really go too deep into it. But maybe he identifies as white, and, that's where he's getting love from. Just like a good example would be George Zimmerman. I believe remember the whole George Zimmerman shooting Trayvon Martin out there in Sanford, Florida? He's the guy who called 911 because he thought Trayvon was a thief. And he chased him off in the middle of the night with a firearm, and he claimed that Trayvon then tried to beat him up and he had to take his life in self-defense. George Zimmerman is Hispanic, but he was welcomed by the white community after that happened. And I think he even tried to sell the gun he used to shoot him, and he had a picture of Skittles or something. I mean, you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist. You don't have to be black to be pro-black. If you're spewing the same ideology and you're promoting the cause, you're in. You're in. Crystal, we call those Uncle Toms. I don't know about that, Will G. I think that's stronger. Shit, they call me an Uncle Tom on many of the programs. I get called one a day. If you're out there actively promoting bringing back slavery, that's beyond an Uncle Tom. That's really bad. That's like that Django type shit. Looking in the comments, Clayton Bigsby. Yeah, that's a good example for you guys who have seen the Dave Chappelle show. Clayton Bigsby. Let me go back to the box, tap the screen. Haven't been solicited in that due to the voice and every damn thing here. See if we can get me up to about 60,000. TikTok and this algorithm, I don't know what the hell's going on. But tap the screen, get the likes up to about 60,000. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. All skin folks are not kin folks. I've heard that one. If Zimmerman were black, he would have been charged. Wait a minute. If Zimmerman was black, he would have been charged 100%. Yeah, I don't, they did really take the word of George Zimmerman pretty damn quick, sent him back home with his gun in like 2 hours. I mean, they just believed him. I mean, you literally chase some dude off in the middle. Now, here's let's say it is self-defense. That's what he was ruled. He won his case in court, but you call 911 because you see somebody roaming through the neighborhood. And you're on the phone telling them these folks always get away with this. And they tell you, we're going to send somebody out. Don't go chasing off. You go and chase off. You're off running after this dude into the night. And when the police get there, you're standing over the body, he tried to beat my ass. You got to wonder. He has a firearm and he's chasing Trayvon Martin, believing that Trayvon Martin is stealing shit and getting away with it. What are you going to do when you catch up to him? Because we're to believe that for some reason, George Zimmerman is following Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, for no reason at all, not committing a crime, not doing anything, just turned around and decided to just start beating him up. And he had to shoot him to defend him. That doesn't make sense. My guess is George Zimmerman probably tried to perform some kind of citizen's arrest or something, or started talking shit to him, started making it, accusations, and maybe that might have pissed him off. But you're chasing a man in the middle into the night because you think he's a thief. What's going to happen when you catch up to him? So, I don't know, but they handed him his gun back in a couple hours and had sent him home. So for you folks who say Black Lives Matter ain't done shit, they're just a corrupt group. If it wasn't for BLM going down there, that case would have never even been heard. I mean, they just gave him his gun back and said, you good. Will G, Black Confederates were by force. They were doing nothing but cooking and running bathwater, if that. Yeah, fair enough. But I will say that they're just like with slavery. Some folks are happy doing what they're doing. Even Martin Luther King had difficulties getting people to go march. Some people are happy with the status quo. Some people are. I mean, and certainly if you don't know anything about freedom, you're not going to be, you may be less tempted to fight for it because it's so dangerous. Old lawsuit, Trump and Vance. Wait a minute. Ohio lawsuit due to Trump and Vance lies. I asked this earlier in the broadcast. Has anybody seen anybody eating a dog? Because that's what you're talking about. Trump claiming that they're eating cats and dogs, the pets of the people that litter. Has anybody seen anyone where you can verify this is taking place in Springfield, Ohio, of a person eating a dog? I would like you to send that to me. I want to see that because I haven't seen it yet. Kamala destroyed Trump at the debate, says cool. Well, the debate wasn't fair. I'll go back to the box, but the moderators were helping Kamala Harris, if you ask me. They're fact-checking Trump, and they're letting Kamala Harris say things like police officers were killed on January 6th, which is false, and they didn't fact-check her. No Capitol police officers died on January 6th. In fact, I don't believe they have officially ruled that any Capitol police officer ever died as a result of January 6th. Now, I know some guy had a heart attack or a stroke the next day or something like that. And even on that report, the coroner's ruled it didn't have anything to do with January 6 injuries. So Kamala Harris should have been fact-checked. She should have been fact-checked. And the fact that they did not do that, well, I think they fact-checked Trump 2 or 3 times. They got him on the dogs and cats thing. They got him on after birth abortions. I don't know if it was the 3rd time they but they shouldn't be doing that if they're not going to go after Kamala Harris. So I do believe the moderators, Trump fell for every trap Kamala Harris put up. She would have won the debate even if they didn't do that. But they shouldn't have done that. Going back to the box, Tammy, good evening. Welcome to the program, Tammy. She might have misspoke, but she was in lying, so there's nothing to check. She was lying. She told a lie. She said that Capitol police officers lost their life on January 6th. That is not true. That didn't happen. That's not true. You're saying she misspoke. That sounds like when MAGA says Trump is just elaborating or exaggerating. Those are just synonyms for telling a lie. Misspoke, it's not true. I mean, maybe Trump misspoke about Haitians eating cats and dogs. It's a lie. They should have fact-checked her on it. Even if you want to say she misspoke, then they should have fact-checked her misspeaking. It's not true. That's it. What she said is not true. This is what I get on the program all the time on the Trump side when they try to come up with synonyms for what is actually just a lie. Well, he's just exaggerating. It's a lie. It ain't true. Either it's true or it's not. What she said is not true. Going back to the box. 4 people in the crowd died January 6th. She didn't talk about people in the crowd, though. She said police. Going back to the box, I don't know what happened with my last guest, but we'll try it again. We'll go to Shay. Good evening, Shay. Welcome to the program. I will concede that a little to the left. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's how it works. Look, I'm willing to concede all that too, but she should have been fact-checked. Like I said, I think Kamala Harris would have easily won that debate, even without David Muir and whatever the woman's name was fact-checking Trump. Because that only took up a few moments for them to do that. And she was getting Trump to fall in every damn trap available. They didn't have to do anything. She would have still defeated him. But it doesn't look good that they did that. Shay, Lindsay Davis. Shay, well, you'll get a boxing moment. I'm having issues with the box. January 6th is a horror story for many people, and their lives will be affected forever. That is true. That is true. Which is why I stated earlier in the program, January 6th will never be forgotten. By all of us who are alive, who were politically involved, I would say most Americans over the age of 25 on January 6, 2000, 21 will remember that day for the rest of their lives. It may not be like September 11 when you knew exactly what you were doing, but you know about it. You know what took place. Just asking, do you remember January 6th? That just like September 11th, just the date itself tells you everything you need to know. And I do believe people that are 25 years of age or older will always remember January 6th. It'll be the subject of book reports and everything. Now, folks often say, well, they weren't armed, it can't be an insurrection and all of this other stuff. I'm not going to go into a debate about that. I will just say this. If Trump doesn't win in November and correct his legacy in regards to what happened in the 2020 election, whether it was held fairly, if Trump loses in November and he continues just living on saying the election was stolen and never can prove it, I do believe history will judge that as an insurrection attempt. If he doesn't win the office and get out enough evidence to show what he was saying was true, because the whole purpose of January 6th was to stop the steal. As we stand right now, he's not adequately proven that anything was being stolen. It's just him telling you. So until he does that, and it's going to be very hard for him to do that if he's not president and doesn't control the mechanisms of power, if he don't win, I do believe history will judge that as an insurrection. You'll have MAGA pushing back, but as we all get older and pass away, the history books will write that down as Trump not wanting to accept the loss and trying to do whatever he could to remain in power, whether legal or not. I believe that's how history will judge it. Looking in the comments, January 6th wasn't anything compared to the George Floyd riots. They're two different things. There's no, other than the fact that people were rioting, the whole goal of the George Floyd riots versus the January, they're just on a different level. They're not the same thing. I mean, you can bring it up, and I'll tell you this, perfect example. 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, the George Floyd riots are going to be getting very little coverage, very little mention. Just like there was riots after Rodney King passed away. There's been various, I think after Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, that stuff doesn't come. January 6th will come up. January 6th will have far more notoriety in the history books than the George Floyd riots. What date was that riot? Well, the George Floyd riots are over a period of time. Took 4 days just to get Minneapolis to charge Derek Chauvin. January 6th will be taught in schools for the next 1,000 years. January 6th will also likely change how inaugurations are secured. Certainly this one coming up. If, let's say, Kamala Harris wins, there's going to be plenty of security there. By way of yes or no in the comments, if Trump loses, let's say it's a fair and square election, let's say it's legit, by way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you folks believe Trump will concede the election? Let's say he actually loses. How many of you folks believe he will admit that? Listen, I lost. We ran a great campaign. It is what, how many folks believe that? By way of yes or no, how many of you folks believe that he might still accuse Kamala Harris and the Democrats of cheating? So if Kamala Harris somehow wins, security is going to have to be tight, because it's very likely Trump is going to say somebody, some entity, some wing of the Democratic Party stole some elections somewhere. And by the way, to Georgia, counting every single vote, that shit is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Georgia is going to be a mess because they are making them hand count every single ballot and have to match that up throughout the whole state. Just missing one vote here or there. I mean, somebody hands you 700-800 pages and tell you to count each one and write down the number. After you've been working all day, you could make a mistake. Georgia is going to be a mess. You may not know who won Georgia for a few days. All right, let me go back to the box. Right, because they are ridiculous. Yeah, Georgia leaves room for a lot of accusations of fraud and everything. And in my humble opinion, I kind of think that was the goal. Robert Porter, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Yeah, Georgia's going to be a mess. I think
man,
that might...
I'm probably the one person you shouldn't have picked.
Why would you say that?
Look, because, man, you know what? You're spilling out that rhetoric too, man, that fear-mongering. If Trump makes it, is he going to exceed? Come on, man. Trump was already president. If he was going to buck, he would have bucked then. And let me tell you something. When he made president, remember all the cities, the Antifa and the BLM? Antifa mixed in with them and burned all them cities. Washington State, the cops wouldn't even go into downtown. Women were being great. I mean, people were being hurt, and the cops wouldn't even go in the city because it was being burned down. These different cities with Antifa. I mean, they even had bricks set up for these guys, pallets of bricks. But we don't talk about none of that.
All we do? Hold on. We talk about that all the time.
A lot more people got hurt and killed in them riots than anybody at January 6th. But that should go down in history. You remember when he made president, everybody started crying, and then next thing you know, it just went crazy. The city people started marching, and BLM started marching because there was a unaliving of a Black American. You remember with the cops? So they all mixed that in, and they burned cities and tore up all the businesses. And anybody had a small business, some of them people were out of business. They were family owned.
But how does that tie into this?
What I'm saying is that January 6th, there's 40 FBI agents under investigation that was in that crowd. You don't believe at all in your head, as intelligent as I thought you were, you don't believe that nobody got in that and roused up them, because not everybody was. Didn't you see video of people saying, "Hey, man, aren't you going to stop them?"
Yeah. Well, let me respond to something. And you are the right person. I'm glad I brought you up. In regards to the FBI agents riling up the crowd, or Mike Epps, or some of these folks, I bring this up all the time. These folks believe that the election was stolen from Trump. So they're going to fly hundreds, if not drive thousands of miles to come to D.C. to stop the steal. Trump gives them a speech and says, go to the Capitol building peacefully and patriotically. Now, they don't care. He's the sole reason they are in Washington. They came to defend Trump. Walking from where Trump gave the speech to the Capitol building is approximately 2 miles. He don't told you to go to the Capitol building peacefully and patriotically, and he even said, I'll be... What?
We're a party of laws.
Right.
You understand?
He said, go peacefully and patriotically, and I'll go with you. And in the span of a 2-mile walk, the guy that you came to see, you're going to ignore him and listen to some FBI agents or Mike Epps who you don't fucking know from Adam. You're making MAGA sound like sheep. You're going to disrespect.
You know what? You're absolutely correct. There are weak people, man, in that group that would follow right along. Not everyone did, though. Not everyone that was there for Trump followed right along. There was people that did, but the people that did, they were weak. They don't represent MAGA.
They were there. Wait.
Like that. Look,
they do represent.
We ain't sit there and riot. We ain't burning down nothing.
Well, wait a minute.
What I'm getting at is the Maxine Waters and the
hold on.
Madonna.
They're literally
people that keep saying this man's a threat.
Robert, they're literally hold on, Robert, they're literally smearing shit on the wall in Nancy Pelosi's office. What are you calling that?
Look, man, I ain't got no excuse for them. They're individuals that decided to make a choice to do that, but that doesn't represent me as a Trump voter.
Wow.
Do you understand? Because I don't tolerate that.
Were they MAGA? Were they MAGA?
Huh?
Were they MAGA?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let me.
Hold on. Some of them had hats on, so I gotta imagine some of them dumbasses are voting for Trump that went inside and smeared poop all over the fall. I'm not denying any of that. What I am saying is that the leftists keep saying that Trump's a threat and he's a dictator. And come on, man, when's the last time, you're my age, when is the last time a president has been attempted twice? Since Reagan once.
Everything about Trump.
Out of hand. Listen, as much as I don't like Biden or Harris, I despise both of them because I feel like if Harris gets in there, we all lose. But I would never want to see this lady unalived or anything hurt. We have become a society of a third world. Like our mentality. Nobody values life anymore.
Here's what I don't get. You're saying that people on January 6th doesn't represent you. You don't know if they're MAGA. They were a bunch of few idiots. Why is Trump making songs with them and promising to pardon them and saying nothing but positive, aspirational things about the folks that you're clearly saying were wrong and don't represent you? Why is he doing that?
You know why? Because if they are voting for Trump, he's going to appeal to them like he does to me, like he does to other people. You understand? He doesn't just say, okay, you know, y'all went in, y'all did some stupid shit. I told y'all not to. You know, you're going to have to pay the consequences for that. But to call it an insurrection, you can't. You know why they didn't charge him? Because you can't be charged with insurrection. Your own administration.
Did you hear what you just said, though? You basically said, as bad as these folks are, as long as they're voting for Trump, that was enough for him to stand up on their behalf, even though you're admitting they did a whole bunch of wrong shit there that day.
I'm not admitting anything because I don't know who it was. I don't know. I can't say 100% that it was all MAGA, that there wasn't people filtrated in to help that out.
Why is he offering
to? I'm trying to explain why you asked me why Trump said what he said, because let me tell you something. That's the thing about us. Nobody's perfect. But if we've had more violence, more rhetoric out of people's mouth on the left than ever y'all seen on the right from MAGA. We don't riot. We don't burn down buildings. We go to the January 6th. A few people start running off at the mouth, gearing people up, and they go in, and no one... And that's all y'all want to talk about, January 6th. Now, if that would have never happened, y'all don't never want to talk about what y'all did. You know what I mean?
Wait.
Did. What these colleges did, and colleges got busted up and burned. I mean...
You're saying that's all we want to talk about. You do realize Trump is constantly bringing that up himself, right?
Well, you know, since Harris has been running, she's done nothing. She hasn't really talked about in detail policies. All she's talked about is how he's a dictator and that if he's going to take this away and that away and the 2025, which you and me know both, he's not going to do the 2025.
You didn't answer what I just asked you. You do realize that you do realize that is Trump is constantly speaking about the January 6th issue and speaking about it favorably. So when we say those folks didn't represent him, he is making it sound like they did.
Well, I mean, that's just Trump. You know, Trump always downplays everything. He's been doing that. I'm not saying that he's got the most perfect character in the world, but the point of it is when it comes to this country, I'm concerned with my children having a future. And if it continues the way it's going right now, none of us are. None of us are. We got China, Iran, we got these people all the way around us. China's buying up property near our bases in the country. Come on, man. Y'all need to wake the fuck up, see what's really going on. Don't worry about tariffs and tax cuts. Y'all better worry about having a country. Because I'm sorry. I mean no harm to this lady. I mean no disrespect. She cannot save us from what we're in right now with these other countries.
What do you think's going to happen if Kamala Harris gets elected?
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's going to be World War III, and it's going to be not in. Let me tell you something. You don't think they're letting all these people in? See, they can't attack America from the outside. They got to attack us from the inside out because we're not going from the outside in. That's why all these people are here. And once they're giving them money daily to live, and when that money stops, Where do you think they're going to get their food and their money and all they need? Why do you think these Venezuelans dropping these gang members out of prison and telling them on one condition, you can't come back here, but you can go to America? Because these people know we're going to let them in.
Now, some folks are suggesting that folks like yourself and Trump, you guys just hate immigrants of color. How do you respond to that?
Let me tell you something. I believe in immigration. I believe it done the right way, the right amount each year. We used to have a set amount each year. I don't have a problem with that. But when you let anybody and everybody in here and you give them a ticket and tell them in 2028 you come to court and it's 2024, you really think they're going to wreak havoc in that 4 years before they go to court? And who's to say they're going to go to court? And look, most of the people that's come across the border would not qualify anyway. Okay?
I agree with that. I agree with that. They're not gonna meet the asylum requirements. Right. I agree with that.
But there will be some, the ones that's why it's set that way, because the people that really need asylum, that are running from, hey man, I'm more than welcome to have them come here.
But what about but
you could die, there's war going on? Absolutely.
But Robert, what the Haitian immigrants, the ones he's accusing of eating cats and dogs, they fit the narrative you're talking about. They're coming from a war-torn country. They came to this country. They're here legally. They are working. Why is he treating them like shit?
He's not. You know what he did? And I gotta say this to you. I mean, I feel like Vance and them brought that story up because, see, over there in Haiti, a few different areas, they sacrifice for religious reasons animals, and they have ate them to get their spirit. They're even cannibalism.
Are they eating them in Springfield, Ohio? Are they doing it in Springfield, Ohio?
This is the problem. Springfield only has a population of 52,000.
Are they eating? Wait, hold on. Are they eating animals in Springfield?
I'm not sure. I can't verify that.
Then why the hell can't we verify that? The president told us. Why can't we get verification?
I've heard people say there's incidents and I've seen video, but a video is video. I don't know.
Why is he saying something that is so inflammatory?
Because he wants to I'm telling you why, but you told me to hold on. Because he wants to put emphasis on the fact that there's 52,000 residents and they put 20,000 Haitians in there. Do you know what that did?
Why not just say that? Why not just say that?
Factory jobs away from Americans. And I believe that we should be first. You know what I mean? I don't believe you should maybe drop 20,000 in a population of 150, 300,000 people, maybe not at 52,000. That's going to hurt them. So that was counterproductive.
Okay, hold on. So, and I agree with you.
Nobody's saying nothing.
But hold on, I agree with you. Dropping 20,000 Haitians in one town that's only 50,000 strong is going to really change the culture of that town. So to draw attention to that, you're going to tell the people that they're eating folks' cats and dogs? Is that what I'm hearing?
You know what? You know me, Tim. I'm a straightforward. I stand on all 10. Yes.
So
I think it was supposed to be kind of a joke, but he said it, and it wasn't. I don't know if it's a lie or not because I haven't really got
eating people's pets.
Yes, that's what he did to get them to see. But you know what? It didn't work because the government there. I mean, the state people there, they pay them cheaper, and they come to work every day.
Eating people's pets was meant. The president
have left people out of work.
The president suggesting people are eating folks' pets. That was meant to be comical. People find it funny.
I mean, I don't know. I'm only speculating. You're asking me something. If I call Trump now and ask him, I would know. But I don't.
Trump is still claiming
it. Brother. Let me tell you something I found out in this trip. Sometimes Trump makes it hard to defend him with shit that comes out of his mouth sometimes.
Thank you.
But as far as running this country, I think he'd do a better job as far as that goes than Ms. Harris. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I'm not ever against a woman being president. I just think we need a woman that has discipline for her emotions. She doesn't.
You think Trump has discipline for his emotions?
When it comes to business, yeah, because his ego is to make the art of the deal. He's not going to do anything to screw up the deal. But yeah, he's not a great friend to go have a beer with probably, but his ego, he has to win. You understand what I'm saying? So he's going to run it like a business. And he wants everyone to win because he wants people to pat him on the back and say, thank you for this and thank you for that. So
I agree with you that Trump is highly competitive and wants to win. But even a good competitor has to be willing to admit when they lose. And I don't see that in Trump. Every contest he's involved in, I don't care if it's simply trying to get an Emmy award. If he doesn't win, he's going to say something else is causing him to lose. He does not accept losing.
Well, wait a minute. You know this, right? For a fact. You know this, right, Tim?
Yeah.
You see his pattern.
What do you mean?
Well, you already know. Don't act surprised when he doesn't acknowledge it. I mean, as far as the presidency, when
Robert,
wait. Same thing, but you know Trump.
Robert,
he does it all the time.
Robert, his words are getting people harmed, damn near killed, like what's happening in Springfield, Ohio.
That's the same thing that's on the left. It's getting this man almost harmed.
But that's not making Trump look better. Pointing to somebody else doing it too doesn't excuse Trump.
No, but let me tell you something. I think they're boasting up the threat factor because the people that I see popping out videos in Springfield are all they ever talk about is they're taking our jobs. We don't have any jobs no more. They're not talking about these people getting beat up or robbed. You would see somebody be putting that out there. You don't see it. You just hear people talk about, oh, well, they got threatened here and threatened there. People can say whatever. But until you show it to me with facts, I can't go with it.
That's a Republican state with a Republican governor and a Republican mayor, and they're just making up lies against Trump is what you're saying.
Let me tell you something. Some of the Republicans don't like Trump. And you know this.
Why isn't he calling them out? Why isn't he calling out the Republican governor of Ohio and the Republican mayor of Springfield for lying? Why isn't he attacking them? If they're making up lies.
Because let me ask you something. I know he attacks a lot of people, but would it look good right here at election time to be attacking your own party?
You just
that wouldn't look good.
You just accuse somebody of eating cats and dogs. I don't think he cares about looking good. He's not Vida El Sassoon. If you don't look good, we don't look good. I don't think he cares.
Well, the party doesn't look united if he's arguing with Republicans.
Robert, he's been arguing with Republicans since he became president. He's been doing that from day one. He fired half of his administration. That's been his method of operation.
That's when he was president.
And even in the off season, he was arguing with the likes of Mike Pence and Chris Christie and calling Nikki Haley bird brain. He's always been arguing with Republicans. It never ended.
It wasn't a cycle like that though. But yeah, he did argue with him. You're right.
Yeah. He's been if you don't totally agree with Trump, you're going to be on the wrong side of him. It's as simple as that. He takes things personal. We talked about John McCain kept attacking the guy 2 years after he was dead. I mean, he don't.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but if you look back on him, and I watched McCain.
Oh no.
His career.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying he's a narcissist. That's why Trump don't like him. I think Trump has narcissist tendencies.
You think?
Narcissists don't get along, bro.
You think?
Let me tell you, anybody that would sit there, he was not the Pope. He did his own funeral, right? Planned it.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
Come on, man. Did you see his funeral?
The guy is a war hero that's dead. Why are we?
There's a lot of war heroes that are dead. But what I'm saying is, this man had to lay was the Capitol for 7 days or something. People come by. He wasn't the Pope. He was a Senator Kane. Yes, he's a veteran. There's a lot of people that are veterans, war heroes.
He also was the 2008 Republican nominee for president. He'll get no credit for that, huh?
But you don't find it tacky that he planned his own funeral?
I think a lot of people plan their own funeral.
Well, I mean, what color the coffin is and where they're going to bury in their plot, but I mean,
you're really holding that against them?
Laying in coffin for 6 days.
Hold on, let me say it to you like this, Robert. If you knew you were dying for like a year straight, you wouldn't have nothing to say about your funeral. You know you're dying. This man knew he was about to die. You don't think you would plan any of that?
The truth? No. And the reason why? Because I wouldn't want to, for the little bit of time I had left, I would ask someone else to plan that for me. If they had, I would tell them a few things and I'd leave it alone after that and try to enjoy what time I had left. I don't want to put on my mind trying to figure out what type of funeral I want to have. It ain't going to matter after I'm gone anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend not a minute thinking about a funeral. I want to live what I have left, brother.
Doesn't take that long to do that. Well, Robert, I do got to move it on. Listen, you welcome on the program anytime. We don't have to.
You're still my brother too.
Thank you.
It don't matter what side we on, man. I still love you, and you're doing a great job, man. Keep it up.
My sentiments exactly.
Be careful with the putting down Trump as far as like threats and stuff.
You would
that excites people, man.
You would fuck it up at the end. You would fuck it up at the end.
Tell people to be peaceful, man.
All right,
on your side.
We try
on your side that y'all don't tolerate that.
Well, you got to stop calling the vice president a dummy. That's what Trump is doing. That ain't helping either.
I understand that, but a dummy is not an enlivener. You know what I mean?
Well,
regardless if he's a egotistic lion and y'all think he's a piece of shit, he's still a grandpa. He's still a father.
Yeah, kind of like Nancy Pelosi's husband. I get it. I gotta go. Appreciate it.
See, you had to get a chat back before you left. I still love you, brother. Be good, man.
Robert Porter, everybody. Thank you. By the way, folks, that's how we run the program. It is about free speech. You don't have to agree with the host. We don't get as many MAGA. It's always a pleasure to get some. Like I said, me and Robert probably don't agree on shit, but my doors are always open to him. That's how we run the program. It's about free speech. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Occasionally, we're able to demonstrate it. Will G, excuse me, MAGA saying they can't tell or don't know who was there on January 6th is the going excuse rate. Deep down, they were hoping everyone flopped in D.C. Yeah, I gotta agree with that, Will G. I think everybody, I think MAGA knows that the folks that were on the grounds on January 6th, there were some peaceful protesters on January 6th that did not go into the Capitol building, and then there were some that did. They all were MAGA. Now, this FBI coerced them and things like that. As I was telling my last caller, that would make a lot more sense if Trump was saying that. If some of these folks were FBI or Antifa, why the hell is he offering to pardon Antifa or Black Lives Matter? None of it makes sense. None of it makes it. To me, the simplest explanation is probably the one that's true. That crowd was MAGA. Simple as that. That crowd was MAGA. McCain was a statesman, says Will G. Yeah, can't believe he was attacking John McCain. How long has John McCain been dead? Well, MAGA holds some serious grudges. All right, let me go back to the box. But that was a good call. I did enjoy talking to Robert, and he is indeed welcome back anytime. Going back, we'll go the other way. King Finn, good afternoon, good evening, rather. I'm used to running on the afternoon, so you'll hear me say this. Good evening, King.
You know I'm finna go straight ham about your last caller. First of all, let's get it said. Stop talking ill about the dead, you sick fuck. You have no reason to sit up and talk about anything that John McCain did. Because John McCain wasn't the Pope, you're right. But John McCain fought for a whole bunch of rights that Trump's little weak ass, bum ass, shitty diaper wearing ass fucked up. So no, I'm not finna sit up and talk.
Wait a minute, what makes you say what makes you say Trump is weak though? I mean, he showed one.
I don't know, the fact that as soon as Kamala said anything about his crowd size, the whole shit turned down. The whole little shit, the whole debate went south after he said it. After she said anything about his crowd sizes, yeah, he is weak. And yes, they are leaving his fucking weak ass rallies, which he's having like the little mustache guy from Germany. This shit don't make no sense. The little mustache guy had rallies. Otherwise, what we used to call those were town halls. I told you a long time ago, when you have a rally, you're not listening to anybody. You're not answering any questions. You're standing there yelling like DMX. So go to a DMX concert, man. Help yourself out a little bit. If you want to be yelling,
DMX.
Otherwise, stop calling them rallies. Actually listen to the question, answer a couple questions, and stop being a bitch. Period, point blank. Next. Let's keep moving on.
Okay? Yeah.
Next question.
Rallies are almost like a preacher giving a sermon. You're right. When you're holding a rally, there is little to no feedback. It's just you telling the crowd how things should be, and the crowd giving you yays and support. I mean, there is no pushback. It's not a town hall by any means. It's just you talking. Nope. So, and I don't know if a town hall with former President Trump would work well, because if somebody says the wrong thing, shit's going to hit the fan.
It's some of those little hands. It's little hands. People leaving early like they did in North Carolina. You know, people leaving early like they do at most of them. Like I said, he's weak. He's very narcissistic. And I don't understand how your last caller could say anything else but that whole place was MAGA. I don't know. It's funny how MAGA don't know nothing when you ask them a serious question. As soon as you ask them something that they can't exactly fathom, that their little pea brains fucking blast off and blow up about, as soon as you do that, they, I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't know about it. What we do, he said he's going to be a dictator day one. Yeah, that's what he said. We didn't make that up.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to believe that the crowd on January 6th was not MAGA simply because Trump has showed nothing but adoration. I don't think Trump has said anything negative at all about what happened on January 6th, other than the fact that they got arrested.
He made a song with him, Tim. Yeah. If it was Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all of that and all of the shit that they blame it on, why would he make a song? Why would he want to pardon them? And then we're going to go back to the beginning of what that last caller was saying. In the beginning of that bullshit. While he was talking about, with a guy who died, you know, the police dude. You mean George Floyd. Say his name with some respect. I also didn't appreciate the fact that he didn't say Vice President Kamala Harris. Because it ain't Miss Harris. It's Vice President. You know, the person that's sitting in the office up under Joe Biden right now. You might not like it, but they still call Trump former President Trump. Show that woman the same fucking respect. Stop being a fucking hater. You might not like her, but that's what her position is right now. Okay? I don't like my boss. It don't make no difference for me calling him boss, do it? Yeah, no, it don't.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. I do tend to agree with you. I don't believe Trump sees Kamala Harris in a position of respect at all. I don't think he respects her at all. I mean, as he said, he calls her dumb. He says she's dumb. So I don't think he respects her at all.
Well, my man earlier was clumping shit together. No, we didn't riot when Trump became president. We were in disbelief. I know I was. I couldn't believe they let a game show host be a damn president. What type of shit is this? Who wants to be a president? Oh, wow. You know what I'm saying?
But you know he may be president again. You know he may win again.
What do they winning? Don't ever going to jail. You keep saying that. I know you want to appeal to your MAGA audience.
No, man, I got to look at it from both sides.
You know, man, come on now. You know damn well I ain't trying to hear that shit. You already know.
Well, but just because you ain't trying to hear it don't mean it ain't possibly true. Trump very well could win. He's leading in Arizona. He's leading in Pennsylvania. He's leading in Georgia. He's leading in North Carolina. Why can't he win?
My question to you is, how is he going to vote for himself? Because a felon can't vote.
I think he still can vote in Florida. I think he was able to vote.
A felon can vote?
Okay, well.
Oh, they must have changed that law for him real quick. So you can vote now.
Well,
so felons can vote in Florida.
They changed the law for Ron DeSantis when he ran for president. It wouldn't surprise me if they changed the law. I'm sure he would get nothing but support from Ron DeSantis.
But you see what happened with Ron DeSantis when he took on Disney? They wasn't having that shit. Okay. Yeah. Don't play. See what happened.
But I'm telling you, that man very well could be our next president. Don't discount that. That's a real possibility.
I don't see it happening, dog. We waking up. The Swifties is out there. They're not finna let that happen. And I would like one of your MAGA guests to answer this. So what's gonna happen when he don't? Y'all gonna throw another coup again? It's gonna be another coup. They said another unpeaceful transfer of power. That's what it looked like.
They said it wasn't.
Oh, it's gonna be bloodbath. It's gonna be a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? Like just like old boy earlier talking about some. Oh yeah, well they rioted when Trump became president. No, we didn't. We didn't riot. We looked at everything else like, well, okay, well, this must be New America.
Yeah, I don't recall. I know there were some unhappy campers when Trump won. I know I've seen folks on MSNBC in tears, but I don't recall anybody rioting when Trump won. I don't remember that either.
Because it didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't remember
That's
that.
because it didn't happen. That shit didn't happen. He was lumping everything together. See, everybody likes to lump that. All MAGA people want to lump that shit together about what happened with George Floyd and the summer of unrest because all that shit was happening because they want to wash that shit away. That's why when they started talking that shit, the first thing they say is, why can't y'all let January 6th go? Because we can't. We're not going to let it
Well, in my response on January 6th is always going to be the same. You can't tell the liberals and detractors of Trump to let January 6th go when Trump is constantly speaking favorably of it. He hasn't let it go. He himself is still talking about it. So are we at a point where only Trump can discuss January 6th because he clearly hasn't let it go? So until he stops talking about it, go ahead.
Yeah. To MAGA, obviously, that's what it is. We got to stop talking about it. But they, Trump can keep talking about the unstolen election because it wasn't stolen. He just lost. You know what I'm saying? The January 6th, it didn't happen. It was a peaceful love fest. Well, that's weird because a person died. People got beat up. I mean, I looked at the shit on the news. It was like, this is the craziest shit I ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's another thing. He referred to January 6th as a love fest and things like that. We love you, go home. Everything Trump has said about January 6th has been positive, and I don't know where to go with that. I don't know where to go. Let me ask you, though, in regards to what we were actually doing the show's topic on earlier, Trump stated that if he wins, here's an actual quote. He says, he was referring to women. He said, I want to be your protector. He says, women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. And he says, you will no longer be thinking about abortion. What do you think? You think Trump is the president for women?
I don't know, maybe. No, he's not the president for women. You mean the Graper in Chief? The Graper in Chief is the president for women. That sounds like some shit like they did back in it was a guest a couple of days ago that brought light to that, which I remembered about Mad Men and how that basically became the revolution of all the drug companies where they were giving women pills and shit to keep them happy. She don't want to.
I never knew about that until people kept telling me lobotomizing them. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, man. Yes, that shit's real. Look that shit up too, bro. That's exactly probably what he's talking about. I couldn't tell you because I don't personally think he's gonna win, but I pray for my daughter. I pray for my wife. I pray for my mother, sisters, and shit like that. If that fool becomes president. Because he ain't got nothing good coming.
But see, this is what my last...
If you don't want them to have security over their bodies...
This is what my last caller... This is what my last caller was so upset about. He was saying that you liberals are attributing all of these awful fear tactics to Trump, that Trump is not trying to lobotomize women or take away their rights, like what you're talking about. How do you respond to folks who say the liberals are making it sound like Trump is some kind of monster that's going to take away democracy and all this shit, when he just wants to make America great?
Well, again, I will go back to the beginning question of when you first came on the air and you asked when the hell was America great to you? Okay, I'm gonna start there, but then I'm gonna say, okay, so you're not gonna do that to women. So why not let them have autonomy about their own damn bodies? Why does that have to be something we're even discussing? Why even be the person that said, I'm the one that did it, I'm the only one that could, who rolled back Roe versus Wade? Because you didn't have to. You could have left the shit alone. Nobody asked you to mess with that. Nobody asked you to tell women they can't decide what the hell to do with their own bodies. If you wanted to be the protector of women, why not codify it and make sure that Roe versus Wade is the law going forward instead of rolling it back to the states? Because quote unquote, that's what the states wanted. Because if you were listening to women, that's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
That's not what every woman in America wanted.
King Finn, as always.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Again, Harris, Walls, 2020, baby. 2024, baby. Holla.
6 weeks from today. Thank you. 6 weeks from today, folks. That is literally elections. This time in 6 weeks, we'll be watching television. By now, the East Coast, many of the states will have closed their polling offices, and you'll be waiting to see where certain states go. We'll certainly want to know. North Carolina being one of the, I guess North Carolina, well, Georgia too. They're both in the East Coast time zone. So those are the two biggest states on the, well, Georgia, with the changes in Georgia, counting each individual vote, you're not going to know shit about Georgia for quite a while. But you may find out about North Carolina that same night. But Georgia's going to be a contested election just because of the way they set that shit up, requiring everybody to single-handed. So all of the polling offices all over the state of Georgia, all them little counties, all of that shit, they got to count that stuff one by one, and then it's got to match up to the original number. So if one vote is off or one, then you got to go back through the whole pile and count it over. When you think about the millions of people in the state of Georgia and all those little counties and shit, that's a mess. So my guess is you won't know about Georgia until the next day. But North Carolina will be the first state we'll be paying attention to because it is in the East Coast time zone. But 6 weeks, folks, that's all we got. 6 weeks, we're getting pretty damn close. Going back to the box, tap the screen. Get your boy likes it to about 80,000. Somewhat soliciting. I'm doing this with still under the weather. I haven't been on for a while. So I'm trying to make this work. But yeah, tap the screen, get the likes up to about 80,000. The pink hats hit the street. What is a pink hat? Women. Oh, you're talking about women. Women protested when he won. Yeah, that will certainly happen again now. Because when Trump won in 2016, women thought they might lose some rights. If Trump wins in 2024, I think the thinking process is already behind them. Now it just becomes solidifying the abortion bans. And at this point, you got to convince women that they won't go federal. Now, I know Trump is saying that'll never happen, but my humble opinion, most women don't believe that. He's saying that, look, I just gave it back to the states, that's who wanted it. Well, when he ran in 2016, he was kind of making it sound like they weren't going to even mess with Roe versus Wade. So now he's making it sound like, well, we're not going to consider doing it federally. I don't think most women believe that. I personally, myself, being honest with you, I believe in free speech. I don't mind you guys being critical of me. That's how we run the program. I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. But that also includes me as well. I'm going to speak my mind. I believe there's a really good chance of it going federal. I'll tell you right off the bat, I said this before, Clarence Thomas is 75. Justice Alito, I believe, is 74, and they both are really big fans of Trump. We know Clarence Thomas likes gifts. If Trump gets reelected, those two guys are going to step down for the sake of the party and let him put in some younger justices. So it'll still be a 6-3 majority, but they'll be there for a longer period of time now because he'll replace those mid-70-year-olds with 50-year-olds. and Sotomayor and I can't think of the other guy, the Supreme Court justice that George W. Bush appointed. Those two are 69. They're both 60, and Sotomayor has health problems. So it's very possible Trump could replace one or both of them. If he replaces Alito and Clarence Thomas, which is almost guaranteed if he wins, that means one man will be responsible for 5 justices on the court. And that's not even taking in consideration he might replace Sotomayor or I think it's Roberts is the guy I'm thinking about. Roberts. He may replace them too. So Trump could possibly, not saying for certain, but he possibly could be the first president in history, which very synonymous with Trump's name. He's the first president in history to do a whole bunch of shit, but he could be the first president in history to be responsible for 7 members of the Supreme Court. One guy, 7 picks. Now, folks are saying, you heard my guest before last talking about the liberals are wrong for saying Trump's going to be a threat to democracy and all this shit. Let's just be honest. If Obama, Biden, or Kamala Harris had the opportunity to put 7 members on the Supreme Court, Don't you think the right would be saying that that person is a threat to democracy? That person is going to really fundamentally change how the country is ran so it's never the same again? I don't know why that changes when it's done on the right. One guy could possibly be responsible for 7 members of the court all serving at the same time. Do you feel confident that that court would remain fair and unbiased? Maybe if Trump is being charged with something? One guy, 7 people. And let's say, for instance, he doesn't get to replace Sotomayor or Justice Roberts, then he's still got 5. One guy still has 5. That's significant. And this is why I often bring up when folks say, well, the liberals are dumb as hell to consider Kamala Harris over Trump when you look at Trump's economy and things like that. I bring up the Trump of 2024 is not the Trump of 2016 with the great economy. Because the Trump of 2016 didn't have immunity and 5 justices behind him. Yeah, you could be getting a great economy out of Trump, but what else might you get if one president personally appointed half of the Supreme Court? That wasn't on the table when he got elected in 2016. And then I could also bring up the abortion and him talking about giving police immunity and things. He's coming with a lot of different policies now. Mike Pence was not J.D. Vance. I mean, there's a lot different. I get the fact that people want Trump's economy, but he is bringing a totally different administration and way of governing with him than he did in 2016. My humble opinion, he's governing further to the right than he did in 2016. And he doesn't have any reason not to. The left has pissed him off tremendously. So, Trump likes to get back. Trump likes a little revenge. So, take it that way. Look at it in the comments. Yeah, you get RFK and Tulsi. No, RFK and Tulsi are figureheads. They're not going to go anywhere. All elections are done with wallet and ID. You don't know this by now. Sorry to disappoint you about your vote. I believe in having an ID to vote. I don't believe there's any excuse for you not to have an ID to vote. But I do believe the right, and this is where I say the right is fear-mongering, constantly suggesting that everybody is cheating, is using that as an excuse to pass some laws that make it harder to vote. I say this on all the programs. The left likes to make it easier to vote. And if you make it easy to vote, you can invite fraud to take place. The easier it is to vote, the less checks and balances, the easier somebody could come in and commit an act of fraud. I'm not saying it happens, but it certainly could happen easier if the voting process was done the way the left wants it. The right is the exact opposite. They want to make it harder to vote. Now they cite making a more secure system as the reason why they want to do that. But the difference between the left system and the right is, if you make it harder to vote, you definitely reduce the chances of voter fraud. But what you increase are the chances that legitimate voters are not able to vote, because you're doing things like purging voter rolls, you're closing polling offices, you're intentionally creating long-ass lines to vote. You're doing things so that legitimate voters may not get their votes across. So there's pros and cons to both of it. And the reason is simple. High voter turnout usually works well in favor of the Democrats. Low voter turnout works well generally in favor of Republicans. So Republicans want lower turnout. Democrats want higher turnout. You can see it in the way they deal with elections. Going back to the box, we'll try it with, I don't know what that name is. I think it says Nick. We'll just go with that until he explains it. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how are you doing today?
What is the name there?
Or tonight, I should say.
What is the name
No,
there?
my name is RV Life Nick.
Okay.
Simply for the fact of, well, I live in my RV full time.
I love it. I love it. I used to live over the road like that myself. So what am I getting wrong here, though?
What topic are we going on? Because we've gone through
Trump
a spectacle of
Trump wants to be the
topics.
Is Trump the president for women?
I'm not sure that Trump is necessarily the candidate for quote unquote women, but I mean, Roe v. Wade started in what, 71? If I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was in the 60s. Okay, let's go with 71. I'm not for sure the year, but go ahead.
So that was put into the federal government's charge.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay. What's your point?
And it got put back into the states, which some people agree, some people disagree, but why since the 70s till 2024, why didn't no Democrat candidate, whether you be president, senator, or anything like that, why wasn't that codified into a law?
That's a good point. That's a good argument. Ruth Bader Ginsburg made the same argument, but I agree it should have been. And from now on, that is what women are going to be fighting for in every election until that happens. So even if Trump wins and it doesn't happen, we have some Democratic victories will happen in every election until this happens. It would be like getting rid of the Second Amendment. You're going to have liberals losing elections from now on until they get what they want. And that's what's going to happen with this rolling back of Roe v. Wade.
But branching off on your Second Amendment thing, with the Constitution, you can add to it, but you can't take away.
Yeah, but you can do things like what Trump did. He banned bump stocks. Trump talked about taking away guns before
that's
giving
accessories, though.
Okay.
In a sense, that's accessories.
Is a magazine
to,
is a magazine an accessory? Is a scope? Is a silencer? I mean, you can certain stocks. You can really break a gun down if you target the accessories.
And if you buy this AR that they keep on talking about on, well, a lot of these pages, and that the AR platform is bad. Yes, I admit a lot of people use that particular equipment, trying not to get your page shut down.
I get it. You're doing good.
But
so let's not go down the 2-8 path. Let me just ask, in regards to the women thing, do you think women have a right to be upset with Trump about Roe versus Wade?
They have a right to do so, but with where it's at right now, back into, say, Arizona versus Montana. Arizona might have their constitution. Montana might have theirs. Arizona might not allow it. Montana might. I mean, either way you slice your cheesecake, it's still going to be a good cheesecake as long as you know how to do it.
I don't quite get that. So, listening to what you're saying, it's pretty clear that by Trump rolling it back, he's made things really complicated for women. You're mentioning Arizona versus Montana. They didn't have to deal with all this before Trump.
No, they really didn't. But do you really think the Roe versus Wade should have been in the federal government's charge?
Yeah, I don't believe the government should have a right to tell women what to do in those cases. I mean, if you didn't have states using such draconian laws, I'm fine leaving it at the state level if the state don't interfere either. But the state is doing very draconian things. By the way, what's really bad, because everybody's saying, well, Trump gave it back to the states where it belongs. The states are not even letting women vote on it. Most of the states that have limitations on abortion or bans on abortion, not most, all of the states, every single state that has a limitation or ban on abortion came by way of women not having no say-so at all. Not one of those states actually put it up for the people to vote on. The states that did, they voted it out. So the idea that when we gave it back to the states, that's meaningless if you don't let the people vote on it. You just gave it to the state legislators who pretty much are doing whatever the hell they want to do.
You know, you got a very valid point with the AB issue going back to the states.
Yeah.
The people should have voted on it.
Yeah.
We the people are supposed to control the government. The government is not supposed to control us.
Right. And that's what's happening with the abortion law at the state level. It's the government telling women what to do without no say-so or input from the women.
Well, just like, for example, if the devil's lettuce got put on the ballot for federal legislation to make it legal again, even though the federal government decided years and years ago to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of states are saying, okay, you can do this.
I don't get your point.
But the same with AB to everything going on in 360 degrees. We should be able to vote on these things.
Okay, so then you do admit what they're doing to women in regards to abortion is wrong because the women haven't been given the right to vote. And even in the states where women are trying to get this on the ballot, the states are doing whatever the hell they can to prevent women from being able to put it on the ballot. Both Florida, Ohio, they're all fighting to stop women from being able to vote on this. That's how they've been doing it. So you are admitting that.
Absolutely correct. Because whether you're on the left, you're on the right, you're in the center, or whatever, us as American citizens, or whatever we're getting called nowadays, we should have all these decisions of what we think would be best for the betterment of the country. Yeah.
Well, and if you notice, as I stated, all of these states that are putting these limitations or bans on abortion are not letting the women have any say-so, and they all are Republican states. So women are going to look at this as if it is, because the liberals ain't doing it. It's the Republicans that want to tell us what to do without any input from us. Can you not see that?
Oh, I see it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I got to move it on. Appreciate you coming through RV Life.
I appreciate your time and letting me up.
Anytime. Come on back through. All right, moving on. And that is a problem, in my opinion, from the problem the Republican Party is going to have, is that they are forcing these laws on women. The women did not have any say-so. And when the women try to get it up to a vote, they're trying to prevent them from being able to vote on it. So they are literally telling women, we want to tell you what to do, and we don't want to give you an opportunity to put it up for a vote, whether we can or not. That looks very controlling. I'm not trying to say Republicans are going to take away all the women's rights or whatever, but that don't sound like freedom. If you want to give it to the states and not have big government interfere, I can get that. But then when you try to prevent them from voting on it, you kind of lose all credibility. And they're doing a lot of that. Every one of those Republican states that bans abortion have also tried to prevent it from coming up for a vote. They do not want to let their own citizens decide on it. That sounds like dictatorship type shit. That's what the women are complaining about. Looking in the comments. Next, a jelly bean count. You're talking about the votes in Georgia. Well, I do appreciate the 82,000. You guys know it. I'm trying to do this under the weather. And that's what's been happening with my throat. No pun intended, but federal trumps state laws. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But now you care about the debt. I don't, look, you guys are having a conversation with yourselves on that. It's not just women, it's men with sins too. Yeah, there's a lot of pro-choice men out there as well. I'm pro-choice. I don't, look, at the end of the day, for me personally, it doesn't make sense if you are in favor of the death penalty, but you're against abortion and you call yourself pro-life. You're just picking and choosing when it's okay to kill. If you are in favor of capital punishment, you're not pro-life. You're not. You're just saying, well, I believe it's okay to kill this person and not that person. You're not doing it to make society safer. The person's already in custody. They're on death row. They're not going anywhere. You're not making anybody safe. You're killing them for revenge. That's it. He took somebody's life, and I want to kill him in response. Now, it's different if you have to take somebody's life in self-defense. That's different, because now you're doing it to save somebody's life. But when you got a guy in custody behind bars, and you walk into the room and put him on a gun, you're killing for revenge. The only difference between that and abortion is you think this one is okay and you don't support that one. You don't need to kill him at all. He's not in society. And then you get folks who argue, well, he's a drain on the taxpayer system. Why do we got to take care of him for 20 years? So now you're talking about killing to save money. But when the woman who's pregnant says, I cannot afford a baby right now, you don't accept it. But you're okay with killing a grown-ass man to save money. You're not pro-life. You're picking and choosing and making the shit up as you go along. That's just my take on it. Looking in the comments, they will change your thinking. Yep. So a man that murdered a family of 4 should have the same right to live as an innocent baby still in his mother's womb. Make a lot of sense, dude. I'm not saying that a man that murdered a family of 4 should have a right to live. I'm saying you don't have one damn bit of say-so in choosing whether he should die or not. It's not your job to do that. That should be up to his maker. You don't get to choose whether he has earned the right to live. You don't want her making that choice, so why should you get the chance to do it? If he is a danger to society, remove him from society. You don't need to kill him to do that. That's what I'm saying. Otherwise, you are pro-choice when it fits your narrative. I don't believe in taking a life of the unborn, but I believe under these circumstances it's okay to take a life. Then you're pro-choice. You're not pro-life. Pro-life means you fight to maintain the sanctity of life. That's it. You're not doing that. You're saying, well, if you meet these criteria, then it's okay to kill you. And yeah, then you're not pro-choice. You're not pro-life. You're pro-choice. They're refusing to help after a miscarriage happens. Denying DNC procedures is ridiculous. Yeah. And that's pissing off a lot of women. 12 people do not have a right to choose if an innocent child should live. Crystal Lopez, my point is, humans should not get the right to choose if other humans live or not. If you are pro-life, okay, because you're talking about 12 people do not get the right to choose if an innocent child. Okay, so you'd be okay with abortion if the mom could get 11 of her friends to agree with it also? That what you're telling me? 12 people don't get to decide if an innocent baby. So if the mom comes to the abortion clinic and 11 of her friends also agree she needs the procedure, now you're okay with it because she got 12 people now? Will G, Marcellus Williams in Missouri, a potential innocent man is about to be executed. I've heard that story. I haven't paid. I saw it somewhere on the news. I didn't follow it, but looking at the name and considering who normally gets exonerated, I'm going to assume it's a black man. I'm just going to, right. You know, you often hear black people commit the most crimes. They're only 13% of the population, yet half of the damn prison inmates are black. Shows black people commit a lot of crimes. What you never hear is that about half of the damn exonerees are also black. Meaning that black people, by far, are the most to be charged for shit they didn't do. Almost every time you see somebody in the news that's done 20, 30 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit, it's almost always a black person. Almost. So you got to assume if they're exonerating that many of them, there has to be a lot more. There has to be a lot more of them that are doing those sentences to completion and just having to deal with the consequences of the fact that they served years in prison for something they didn't do. But you hear people all the time state that the prison population shows that black people commit more crimes than anybody else because that's who's all in prison. But the exoneration numbers never come up. It is insane at how many black people are found to be completely innocent of crimes they didn't do. And I mean, I'm talking about people who served a lot of fucking time in prison. It's gotten so bad that some states like Kansas, and I think Texas too, they've lowered the amount of the settlement you can win if they have wrongfully incarcerated you. Because people were getting out after serving 20, 30 years. They've lowered it so that you can only get like 30, 40,000 a year or something like that. I mean, because somebody will serve 20 years in prison, you got to pay them a whole lot of money. So they actually passed laws to limit how much a person can claim if they've been incarcerated for most of their adult life. So, different topic. Anyway, looking in the comments. Oh my God, who said that? I'm about to get off here, but I want to, I can't find my fucking glasses. Keep your legs closed. I can't read the name, but watch it. You know, for folks who want to defend the Republican Party and their treatment of women, because people are saying the women are just fear-mongering, the Republican Party don't hate women and things like that. That statement, keep your legs closed. I think the gubernatorial candidate for North Carolina, that black guy down there, also said something like that. You pissing off a lot of women with that. You're really pissing off a lot of women with that shit. I mean, it is disrespectful. It is unsympathetic. Just keep your legs closed. I'm just going to say, keep it up. Trump could be our next president, but that ain't going to help him. You might get a real big surprise at how many women went the other way on election day. Anyhow, I appreciate the 85,000. My voice is starting to go out. We'll be back here tomorrow. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch it in. Look at the people serving life for crimes they didn't commit. So many still behind bars till this day. Yeah, and it's mostly African Americans when you find it is mostly black folks. I gotta go. Catch you tomorrow.